Your best idea didn't die. It drowned in a room that was too loud. You know that feeling when you're halfway to a thought, then someone speaks over it, and poof, it's gone? That's the tax we pay to constant noise. The quiet room is a refund. It's a place where ideas get oxygen before louder minds can snatch the air. Silence isn't empty, it's loaded. Like the second before a wave breaks, tense, focused, alive. And here's the twist. The advantage isn't the room itself. It's what happens to your brain when there's nothing to react to. No pings, no opinions, no urgency, just space. In that space, the shy parts of your mind cough and step forward. They whisper first, then they speak. Ask yourself this. When do you actually hear your own thinking? If the answer is almost never, that's the clue. You don't need a monastery. You need a door that closes, a chair, and a rule. The rule is simple. For a few quiet minutes, start small, like 5. You're unreachable. Put the phone in another room, face down, breathe slow. Let your mind fidget until it gets bored. On the other side of boredom is clarity. Watch what shows up. Sometimes it's a sentence that cleans up an entire dilemma. Sometimes it's a next step you've been pretending you couldn't see. Sometimes it's a no you were afraid to say. Don't try to make it profound, just write it down. Ink is a net. It catches slippery thoughts before they slide away. And notice this, the quiet room isn't only 4 walls. It can be a parked car, a morning walk, even a corner of a bustling office. Headphones in, noise off, boundaries up. The point isn't the location, it's the invitation. You're inviting your attention to sit beside you, not sprint ahead or bolt sideways. Worried you'll miss something urgent. You probably won't. Urgency is loud by design. It'll knock. But your most valuable thinking isn't loud. It's calm, steady, rooted. Give it a minute to arrive. You'll leave that room with fewer words and better ones. Here's a small power move for meetings. Arrive early, 2 or 3 quiet minutes. Jot the one point you want to land, the one question you need answered, and the one risk you won't ignore. Then, when the volume rises, you've already prepared your signal. You speak less, you say more, you walk out clearer. Think of the quiet room as a gym for attention. Every short session builds the muscle of focus, the habit of depth, the courage to think for yourself. That's the advantage no one brags about, because it isn't flashy, but it's real, it's repeatable, and it's yours the moment you close the door and listen. Here's a little cheat code almost nobody says out loud. The fastest way up isn't to run harder, it's to borrow someone else's map. That's the early mentor advantage. A good mentor doesn't just give answers, they compress years of trial and error into a few clear moves you can make today. It's not skipping the work, it's skipping the bruises other people collected the hard way. Picture this, you're new at a job, hungry, staying late, trying to impress. You're polishing the presentation for hours. A mentor glances at it and says, "Ask for the decision maker's single must-have right now." You make one call, you adjust 3 slides, and suddenly it lands. Same effort, different aim. Or you're learning to code and keep chasing clever solutions. Your mentor says, ship the simple thing, then add clever. You launch in a week instead of a month, and momentum does what motivation can't. Why does this work so well? Because mentors shorten the feedback loop. They've seen the movie. They know where the story drags and where it twists. When you learn from them, your brain is not starting from zero. It's stacking new patterns on top of proven ones. That creates safety, lowers hesitation, and frees up energy to focus on execution instead of second guessing. And here's the twist. The real gift isn't the trick they show you. it's the way they think. You're not just borrowing answers, you're borrowing judgment. A lot of us were raised on the idea that you have to earn every inch by suffering for it. If it isn't painful, it isn't real. But pain isn't proof. Results are. The lesson isn't less valuable because you learned it in one conversation instead of 1 year. It's just less expensive. So how do you actually use a mentor well? Bring problems, not puzzles. I tried this, I'm stuck here. My best guess is A or B. What am I not seeing? Shows respect and skin in the game. Ask for one move you can make by Friday. Keep score on what worked. Reflect back what you learned in your own words so the thinking sticks. And be worth mentoring. Follow through, share outcomes, lift others as you climb. Mentors don't want fans. They want proof their time multiplied. Worried it'll make you dependent. A good mentor does the opposite. They reduce your need for them by teaching you how to see. It's scaffolding, temporary support so you can build faster and safer, then stand on your own. What if you don't know anyone? Start small. Learn in public. Ask thoughtful questions where practitioners hang out. Offer to help with something specific, even if it's small and unglamorous. Momentum attracts guidance. Initiative signals readiness. Here's the part people hide. There's no extra badge for learning the hard way. There's only time you don't get back. When you find someone who's walked the path, pay attention, move fast, and say thank you. Trade pride for speed. Trade confusion for clarity. Trade isolation for a guide. That's the early mentor advantage. And if you grab it early, it changes everything. Lower the bar on purpose, not your standards, your stress. Most of us choke because the spotlight feels like a heat lamp. High expectations glare, you squint, and suddenly simple things feel impossible. Here's the shift. Keep the work solid, but set the expectations simple. Low expectations create quiet. Quiet lets you build. And when you build in quiet, you over-deliver without the weight of pretending you're superhuman. Think of it like walking into a room with soft lighting instead of a stadium glare. In softer light, you can see the edges, test the floor, take a breath. That breath turns into focus, and focus turns into momentum. Psychologically, creating that sense of safety lowers defenses and opens people up, yourself included. When nerves drop, attention rises. That's the doorway to better work, not worse. Here's what it looks like in real life. Your co-worker asks if you can present the update. You say, I'll walk through the basics and the next small step. Low expectation. Then you show the basics, plus a clear visual and one thoughtful question for the room. People lean in. No fanfare, no pressure speech. Just clarity that lands. Another scene. You invite friends over and say, simple dinner. You serve a few fresh things done well, and one unexpected twist, warm bread and olive oil with a sprinkle of citrus. They're impressed because you promised small and delivered care. And here's the twist that surprises people. Low expectations don't mean low effort. They mean you spend effort where it counts. On substance, not on theatre. Less time polishing the pedestal, more time improving the thing that sits on it. Why does this work? When the bar is framed as simple, your brain exits threat mode. Less fear means more play. More play means more curiosity and cleaner execution. That's when ideas breathe, mistakes become data, and progress compounds. If you're leading others, it also invites trust. You're not dangling a trophy, you're creating a path. It's the difference between demanding perfection and creating conditions where good work becomes the default. So how do you use it without drifting into laziness? Be honest and specific about simple. Call the scope small, Hold the quality high. Promise less, then add one beat of delight. A crisp summary. A cleaner draft. A thoughtful question that moves the room forward. Notice the rhythm here. Set light expectations. Deliver a little more. Repeat. Over time, people start to trust your outcomes, not your hype. And trust is a bigger currency than applause. Ask yourself, where can you turn the glare down today? What tiny promise would make space for your best work to show up? Start there. Keep it simple. Keep it steady. Then give them one extra beat. That's the advantage everyone overlooks. When you remove the pressure, you make room for surprise, yours and theirs. Imagine waking up and your calendar asks you for permission, not the other way around. That's the moment you feel it, the quiet click of control. Not a fancier title, not a bigger office. Control of your time. A title tells the world who you are. Your schedule tells you who you're becoming. And here's the twist. When you own your hours, you don't just work differently, you think differently. You protect your best energy. You choose your problems. You design your days around what actually matters. Think about the last time you had a day with space in it. No frantic scrolling, no back-to-back meetings, no requests pinging from every direction. In that space, ideas get louder. In that space, you notice your family, your health, your craft. That isn't a luxury. That's leverage. So what does control look like in real life? It's putting your non-negotiables in first. Sleep, movement, meals that aren't rushed, time with the people you love. It's picking one hard thing each day and guarding a quiet block to do it. Phone down, door closed, brain on. It's batching the noisy stuff, messages, calls, errands, so they stop bleeding into every hour. It's giving yourself office hours for other people's priorities and sacred hours for your own. You might be thinking, I can't control my time. My boss, my clients, my kids, I get it. But control is rarely all or nothing. It starts small. 10 quiet minutes before the house wakes. Use them to plan the day. Turn a commute into learning. Protect one meeting-free hour per afternoon. Say yes after Thursday instead of yes right now. Those small edges stack until you're steering again. Here's a simple way to reset momentum. Tonight, write tomorrow on a single line. One deep task. One people task. One health task. That's it. 3 anchors. Then block the deep task first, even if it's only 40 minutes. When that block ends, stop. You'll want to keep going, but leave a little momentum in the tank for tomorrow. That's how you build a streak you can actually keep. A title might open doors, but your schedule decides which ones you walk through. And the more you say "not now" to distractions, the more you can say "hell yes" to the work that moves you forward. That's real power, the kind you don't announce. You just feel it. Ask yourself, what's the 1 hour this week that no one else gets? Guard that hour. Guard it like your future depends on it, because it does. Control your time, and you control your story. Not louder, not flashier, just quietly, steadily, undeniably yours. The quietest superpower is the one you carry when nobody's watching. When you've got no reputation, you're not stuck protecting anything. No image to polish, no crowd to please, no scoreboard to defend. That's freedom. It's a blank studio. It's draft mode, always on. You can try the strange idea, change your mind, and hit reset without a chorus of, but that's not what you do. What happens when you stop guarding an identity you haven't even built yet? You start testing. Little bets, tiny experiments. 1 call, 1 email, 1 sketch, 1 prototype. If it flops, it vanishes. If it works, you double it. No drama, no apology tour. Here's the twist. The less people expect from you, the faster you can learn. Legacy slows you down. Freshness makes you dangerous in the best way. You can shift directions on a Tuesday, and no one sends think pieces about your pivot. You just move. Think about how kids learn. They stumble, giggle, try again. Nobody posts a review of their first steps. That's the move right now. Let yourself be a beginner longer than feels comfortable. Keep the stakes tiny and the reps high. You'll get honest feedback because there's nothing to protect, and that feedback is pure gold. Worried about looking silly? Looking silly is a down payment on looking skilled. So use this season like a lab. Name a single question you want answered, then build the smallest test that could answer it. Want to know if your writing resonates? Send one short piece to 5 people and ask for blunt notes. Want to know if your product solves a real pain? Offer it to one stranger for free and listen harder than you talk. Want to see if your idea holds up off paper? Walk it into the real world for 1 week, then review what happened. And notice this. Without a reputation, you can reinvent faster than the algorithm can label you. Today, you're the curious one. Tomorrow, you're the builder. The day after, you're the person who discovered something that actually works. Each small proof stacks into trust. Not hype, trust. If your brain whispers, "But what will people think?" remember, which people? Most aren't looking. That's the advantage. You get to practice in public while still being effectively invisible. Use that invisibility like a shield. Make 10 ugly drafts. Ask the naive question. Follow the odd instinct that makes 0 sense until it does. One day, people will point to your overnight success. They'll miss these quiet hours where you made messes and made progress. That's fine. Let them. For now, lean into the blank page. Choose one tiny experiment before the day ends. Keep it humble, keep it fast, keep it real, then run another. You don't need permission. You need reps. No reputation. That's not a deficit. That's an open runway. Listen, if perspective had a fast-forward button, it would stamp a boarding pass. Advice is tidy. Travel isn't. Advice tells you what to think. Travel shows you how to see. Step into a place where your jokes don't land, your map is upside down, and the coffee tastes like a dare, and your brain rewires in real time. That's the advantage people rarely name, because it looks ordinary from the outside, but it's not ordinary. It's leverage. Ever notice how the most unflappable people don't flinch when plans fall apart? They've missed trains in cities where they couldn't read the signs. They've asked strangers for help and learned that a smile can translate better than perfect grammar. Those reps don't show up on a resume. They show up as calm, as presence, as quiet confidence. That's the hidden edge. Here's the twist. You don't need a long flight or a thick wallet. You need motion. Take a bus to a neighborhood you've never walked. Eat at a small place where the menu is handwritten. Buy fruit at a market and ask gently how locals choose the ripe ones. You'll notice tiny things, how people greet, how they queue, what they value. Those patterns update your mental software faster than any thread, book, or speech. Travel snaps you into now. When you're navigating streets you can't pronounce, you stop replaying old arguments and rehearsing future fears. You listen harder, you look closer. Your attention stretches, and with it, your empathy. And empathy, real, felt, embodied empathy, is a superpower. It softens stubborn opinions and opens creative doors you didn't know were there. You also learn to negotiate without being a jerk, to ask better questions, to carry less, to improvise when the plan breaks. You learn patience when the line moves slowly, and urgency when your stop is next. You learn that your normal is just one way to live, And that realization frees you. Because once you've seen 5 different ways to do breakfast, you stop believing there's only one way to build a life. What if the fastest way to grow isn't another course, but a weekend where your phone works like a compass and your curiosity leads? What if the most useful habit you adopt is getting lost on purpose, just enough to find something true? Start small. Dawn bus. Light backpack. One street you've never walked. Order the dish you can't pronounce. Learn one word. Ask one question. Write down 5 details before you sleep. The colour of the doors, the way the air smells after rain, the joke you didn't fully get but laughed at anyway. These are not souvenirs. They're upgrades. People will call it luck when you make sharp decisions later. They won't see the mornings you stood at a crossroads and trusted your feet. They won't see the courage it took to say hello. Go anyway. Pack curiosity, not certainty. Let the world teach you faster than advice ever could. And when you return, you won't just come back with photos. You'll come back with a wider lens, and that lens changes everything. Here's the edge. Nobody flexes on social media how much discomfort you can carry without dropping your purpose. Not hacks, not shortcuts, threshold. Think of stress like a weight on a bar. If the load is heavy and you bail fast, you never get stronger. But if you can stay under it, steady breath, decent form, you turn stress into stamina. The weight doesn't get lighter, you get tougher. What does that look like in real life? It's the runner who trains on hills while everyone else waits for perfect weather. It's the student who reads one more dense page after their brain says quit. It's the parent who stays calm through a meltdown. Quiet, unglamorous reps. Your body and mind are constantly negotiating. Discomfort shouts, "Stop!" Your purpose whispers, "Stay." The gap between those two voices, that's your advantage. The bigger your gap, the more room you have to move when life turns up the heat. Here's the twist. Discomfort isn't the enemy. Panic is. When you meet a hard moment and your breathing shortens, your thinking narrows, you sprint toward escape. But if you lengthen the breath, slow inhale, slower exhale, you keep the lights on in your brain. Calm is a skill. It's trained, not gifted. Ask yourself a simple question. Can you stay 30 seconds longer? 30 seconds longer in a cold shower, not to torture yourself, but to tell your nervous system, we can handle this. 30 seconds longer at the end of a set, when your muscles are burning, so your brain learns that burn isn't danger, it's adaptation. 30 seconds longer in a tough conversation, listening instead of defending, so trust gets a chance to grow. That extra half minute is your micro stamina lab. Feeling the urge to bail? Label it. Here's the pull to quit. Naming a feeling shrinks its grip. Then choose a small, winnable target. 2 more breaths. 1 more paragraph. Hold the eye contact a little longer. Small wins build a bigger window. A bigger window carries you through bigger storms. And yes, there's a cost. You'll get bored, you'll get frustrated, you'll want applause. But the people with a high threshold don't need fireworks. They need reps. Quiet reps, daily reps. Because thresholds aren't raised by motivation, they're raised by exposure. One more thing. Don't chase pain. Chase presence in discomfort. There's a difference. Pain breaks you. Presence builds you. You're training the message, I'm safe and capable even when it's hard. That message, repeated, becomes identity. And identity holds when motivation fades. So pick your practice today. A colder finish to your shower. A slower chew when you're rushing. A pause before you hit send. Stay 30 seconds longer. Breathe low and slow. And say to yourself, I stay. That's the high threshold advantage. It doesn't look flashy. It doesn't need to, but it wins. Quietly, then all at once. What if empty pockets were a quiet superpower no one told you about? When you've got nothing to protect, your steps get lighter. You move faster. You say the thing everyone else is thinking, then you do the thing everyone else is stalling on. That's the nothing to lose advantage. It's not recklessness. It's clarity. When the downside is tiny, the upside gets loud. Think about the last time you hesitated. You probably weren't stuck. You were guarding something. Your image, your comfort, your place in line. Fear of losing a little safety kept you from gaining a lot of possibility. Loss feels bigger than gain. Our brains hate risk. But here's the twist. You can design your life so the risk is small and the action is bold. How? Make your bets reversible. Take steps you can undo. Ask for the meeting that can be rescheduled. Pitch the idea that can be refined. Try the version you can scrap without pain. Reversible moves create that nothing to lose space, even when you do have responsibilities. Set your floor before you aim for the ceiling. Name your worst acceptable outcome out loud. If the worst is a no, a shrug, a little embarrassment, that's not a cliff. That's a speed bump. Once you accept the floor, your fear quiets down and your pace picks up. Shrink the stakes and multiply the swings. One small reach today, another tomorrow, and another after that. One honest message to someone you admire. One price you ask for that feels slightly too high. One introduction request. Tiny risks, stacked often, compound into unfair advantages. That's momentum, born from manageable losses. And when the voice says, "But what if it goes wrong?" Answer it straight. Then we learn faster. Then we adjust quicker. Then we find someone who says yes. That's the point. Speed through failure is speed to fit. You're trading pride for progress, and progress always pays back more. Here's a script for courage. I'm trying something new. If it's not for you, zero worries. If it is, I'll make it easy. That last line matters. You're lowering their risk while you lower yours. You're making bold feel safe. What if bold didn't mean brave? What if it meant unburdened? Treat your reputation like a kite, not a statue. Let it move, let it catch wind, let it pull you somewhere better. The people who seem fearless aren't immune to fear. They're just quick to subtract what they can't control and quick to act on what they can. So travel light, cap your downside, widen your surface area for luck. When others wrap themselves in caution, you'll be the one stepping through open doors. And if a door shuts, good. Now there's one fewer to knock on. Nothing to lose isn't about having nothing. It's about holding what you have with open hands. That's freedom. That's speed. That's your edge. Take the price tag off your attention and watch how fast the world stops haggling with you. That's the unattached advantage. When your sense of worth isn't up for sale, manipulation has nothing to grip. Pressure needs a lever. It needs you to crave something so badly you'll bend. Approval, certainty, a specific outcome. Take the craving off the table and the lever snaps. Unattached doesn't mean cold. It means clear. You can want something, move toward it, give your best, and still be okay if it goes another way. That tiny shift turns every trap into a hallway with open doors. Think about urgency. The timer's flashing. The deal ends at midnight. Your heart starts racing. If you're attached, you're on the hook. If you're unattached, you breathe, you ask, does this still make sense for me without the flashing lights? The pressure fades because the fear fades. No fear, no rush. Or approval. Someone dangles acceptance like a key. Smile the right way, agree the right way, and you're in. When you're attached, you twist yourself into a shape that fits. When you're unattached, You stay your shape. If they like it, great. If they don't, you're still whole. You can connect without performing. That's power, not distance. Negotiation shifts too. The person who must close today gives away the store. The person who prefers a good deal but doesn't need it gets to ask better questions. They can walk. So ironically, they're the one others chase. So how do you build this? Start with language. Swap I need for I'd like, or I prefer. Say it out loud. Feel the room it creates. Add a breath before you answer. That pause is a tiny shield against pressure. Pre-decide your lines. What you'll accept, what you won't, what you'll do if things tilt. Options are oxygen. One path makes you desperate. Many paths make you free. And here's the twist. Being unattached often makes you more present, not less. You listen better because you're not clinging to a script. You notice red flags sooner because you're not busy justifying them. You can say yes with your whole chest because you're not terrified of no. Worried it'll make you lazy. It won't. Detachment kills panic, not drive. You'll still pursue, still care, still show up, just without the choke chain of must. It's the difference between swimming and flailing. Same water, different breath. Ask yourself, if this goes my way, who am I? And if it doesn't, who am I? If the answer is the same, you've got it. That's the quiet edge most people hide. When you can't be bought with approval or bullied by scarcity, you can't be steered by fear. You lead yourself. You choose. And because you don't cling, you don't get dragged. There's a tiny switch in your throat most people ignore, the one that makes other people lean in. When you lower your voice, slow your pace, and land your words like soft footsteps, something odd happens. People stop bracing. Their shoulders drop. Their ears open. Loud confidence can catch attention, sure, but a calm voice keeps it. Why does calm win? Because it signals safety. Your tone tells the room, you don't need to fight or flee, just listen. The brain loves that. It follows steady rhythms. It trusts what doesn't try too hard. Ever notice how the person who speaks the quietest in a noisy meeting gets the room to hush? When you push volume, listeners push back. They start planning their reply or checking out. When you ease the pressure, they lean forward, curious. Calm is a lighthouse. Bright, because it's steady, not because it's loud. It cuts through noise by promising certainty. And here's the twist. Calm isn't passive. It's strategic. It's power under control. You choose each word, you choose each pause, and those choices create gravity. People don't follow volume, they follow gravity. So how do you flip that switch? Start with your breath. Breathe lower, into your belly, not your chest. So your voice rides on a steady wave instead of choppy air. Shorten your sentences. End clean. Let a beat of silence do some of the talking. Drop your volume one notch. Not to a whisper, just to a warm, conversational low. Louder isn't clearer. Cleaner is clearer. Mind your pace. Speak like you're walking someone through a dark hallway with a flashlight. Slow enough to see. Clear enough to trust. Place emphasis on one word per sentence. The word that matters. Everything else supports that word. Smile slightly when you speak. It softens your tone and lifts your vowels. People can hear it. And when stakes rise, during a pitch, a negotiation, a tough conversation, don't race. Say the headline, pause, then the reason. The pause makes the reason land. What if the strongest thing you bring into the room isn't your data or your title, but your nervous system? If your heart hammers, let your voice be the anchor, low and even. You'll calm yourself first, and the room will follow. That's the quiet advantage everyone pretends is nothing, because it's hard to fake. Try this right now. Breathe in for a count of 4, out for a count of 6. Then say what you need to say, like you already know the ending. No strain, no rush, just direction. People crave certainty, not noise. Give them calm. Watch them stay longer, hear deeper, and remember more. Turn the volume down. Turn the influence up. Quiet isn't timid. It's deliberate. And deliberate is what people trust. Picture your mind like a spotless desk. Every headline, rumour and hot take is a handful of gravel tossed on top. You don't need more gravel. You need the desk back. Here's the counterintuitive move. Choose not to know. Not because you're naive, but because your attention is finite and your goals are specific. Strategic ignorance isn't denial. It's a filter. It keeps your focus from being auctioned to the loudest thing in the room. Try this in real life. A coworker leans over, whispers, "Did you hear what the other team's doing?" You breathe, smile and say, "If it changes our launch, loop me in. I'm heads down right now." That line isn't rude. It's a boundary that saves your morning. Or think about your phone. Disable news alerts during your deep work block. If something truly important happens, it will still be important in 2 hours. Meanwhile, your brain isn't ricocheting between half-finished thoughts and half-read updates. Psychologically, this works because attention has a budget. You spend it where you look, and limiting inputs lowers noise, which protects working memory and momentum. Here's the twist. You're not avoiding reality, you're sequencing it. First build the thing, then scan the world. First do the reps, then read the takes. That order matters more than people admit, because novelty is sticky. New information feels urgent, even when it's irrelevant. Strategic ignorance cuts that stickiness. Worried you'll miss out? Ask a better question. Do I need this to do my job today? If yes, learn it on purpose. If no, let it pass. That tiny check turns curiosity from a compulsion into a choice. Another example, you're studying for an exam and a friend sends 3 links about a brand new method. Instead of diving down a rabbit hole, you reply, "Saving these for after I finish the next chapter." That's not laziness. That's protecting the compounding effect of finishing. By flipping the default from know everything now to know what matters next, you trade scattered progress for stacked progress, the kind that actually moves the needle. And here's what shifts when you live this way. Your mornings get quieter. Your afternoons get sharper. You feel less frantic, more certain. You stop mistaking movement for momentum. You stop mistaking information for insight. This isn't about hiding from the world. It's about choosing your world for a while, so your work can choose you back. Make it practical. Mute the threads that sidetrack you. Set a daily window to catch up intentionally. Give one trusted person permission to tap you if something truly changes the plan. Protect your focus like it's oxygen, because for your best work, it is. Not more inputs, better inputs. Not more noise, better attention. You don't have to know everything to do something great. You just have to choose what not to know. Picture this. Someone throws you a tiny dart of disrespect, and instead of catching it, you let it fly past, clean, quiet, gone. Meanwhile, they're still staring at your back, wondering why you didn't flinch. That's the forget quickly advantage. Not erasing reality, not pretending nothing happened, just releasing the sting so you can move while others stew. It's a reset button you carry in your pocket. Tap it and you're already on the next step. A coworker fires off a sharp email. You feel the heat rise. You start crafting that perfect comeback, then you stop. You fix what you can. You send a simple, calm reply, and you close the tab. Later, a teammate whispers, "You're not mad?" You shrug. "I was, for a minute. Then I moved on." The project advances. They're still replaying punctuation. Or think about a friend cancelling last minute. You could spiral into stories about what it means. Or you say, "No worries, we'll catch up." And you get on with your night. You kept your evening. You kept your energy. They lost theirs to guilt and guesswork. Psychologically, letting go lowers emotional resistance. Your mind stops locking horns with the moment, and that frees attention for better choices and calmer action. When you understand why this works, the habit sticks. You're not just reacting, you're steering. Here's the twist most people miss. Forgetting quickly isn't weakness. It's strategy. It's not ignoring the lesson. It's forgetting the sting. You still note what mattered. Set a boundary, tighten a process, choose a different lane, but you drop the leftover drama that drags your day behind it like a squeaky cart. How do you practice it? Name it, then release it. Say, "That bugged me." Learn the tiny lesson and breathe it out. Use a reset ritual. Hands unclenched, shoulders down, one deep breath, next action now. If it returns, don't wrestle it. Wave it through. Every pass gets easier. Every pass builds proof that you can choose your state on purpose. Will people think you don't care? Sometimes. But here's the truth. Care isn't measured by how long you stay upset. Care is measured by what you protect. Your focus, your relationships, your momentum. And momentum loves a clean slate. Ask yourself, what could you do with all the energy you spend relitigating old moments? Make it your quiet superpower. Let others replay the scene. You'll be on the next scene, the next call, the next idea, because the moment you drop what doesn't serve you, you start moving toward what does. Forget quickly. Not to forget life, just to remember your power to move. Close the door. Not to shut people out, just to let the work breathe. Privacy isn't secrecy. It's a greenhouse. Warm, quiet, protected from gusts of opinion that can snap a fresh stem before it learns to stand. Early on, ideas are fragile. Confidence is fragile. One careless comment, one raised eyebrow, can turn motion into second-guessing and second-guessing into a full stop. Ever notice how the loudest rooms make it hardest to think? When you're building something new, the first draft of anything is mostly scaffolding. It's messy by design. Show it too soon, and people judge the unfinished framing as the final house. They can't help it. That judgment, even if it's kind, can make you grip the wheel too tight, drive slower than you need, and miss the turn you were meant to take. Privacy shields your growth from that early judgment. It gives you room to be clumsy, to try wild angles, to fail quietly and learn quickly. In private, you can take 10 swings and only keep the one that sings. You can rewrite, refine, rethink, without an audience turning every stumble into a headline in your head. Here's the twist. Privacy doesn't shrink your ambition. It strengthens your launch. Athletes train before the stadium. Musicians rehearse before the stage. The practice is private, so the performance can be public. Same with your project, your skill, your next chapter. The quiet is not a hiding place. It's a charging dock. So choose your circle with care. A few honest voices, not a crowd. Share the problem you're solving, not every half-formed answer. Put time on it, weeks, not years, so privacy becomes a season, not a bunker. Build the muscle in the dark, then test it briefly in the light, then back to the workshop. That rhythm turns shaky momentum into something steady. Why does this matter now? Because the world teaches you to post the seed before it sprouts. to feed algorithms instead of your craft, to measure worth by echo. But noise is not proof. Applause is not progress. And silence, when it's chosen, can be the most powerful commitment you make to yourself. You're not avoiding risk by going quiet. You're trading performative speed for real speed. You're letting focus outrun feedback. You're saying, I'll show you when it's ready to stand on its own legs. Ask yourself, what deserves a closed door right now? A skill, a draft, a plan. Hold it close. Protect its early shape. Let it get sturdy enough to face the weather. Then open the door wide, no flinch, no wobble, and let the world meet what you've made. Try this. Set your phone face down, stare at a blank wall, and give your boredom a mission. Sounds ridiculous, right? We're trained to swat boredom like a mosquito. But here's the quiet trick. High performers use when no one's watching. They don't escape boredom, they steer it. Focused boredom is when you choose a low-stimulation moment, point your mind at one simple question, and let it wander on purpose. Bored? Good. That's your opening. What if you gave your boredom a job? Picture this. You're on a bus or waiting in a long line. Your thumb twitches toward your screen. Instead, you whisper, "All right, brain, show me 3 bad ideas to fix that clunky morning routine." You wait. Nothing. Then a small idea taps your shoulder. Put the coffee mug next to the grind, not the sink. Another one shows up. Lay out your clothes at night. Then a third. A little weird, but promising. Move the charging cable away from your bed so you actually get up. None of these is genius alone. Together they cut friction. And they arrived because you focused the boredom instead of numbing it. Here's why this works. Your brain hates a vacuum, so it starts connecting dots when you stop flooding it with noise. And when you pose a gentle, specific prompt, 1 question, not 10, you hand your mind a compass. Psychologically, a simple directed question plus a bit of quiet boosts creative association because it lowers pressure and widens the search for patterns. Let's make it practical. Choose a tiny window. 2 minutes, maybe 5. Drop 1 prompt. What's the smallest fix for this problem? Keep it playful. Ask for 3 bad ideas first. Bad removes perfection's chokehold. And here's the twist, do nothing else. No scrolling, no inbox, no music. Just breathe, look out a window, or yes, at that blank wall. When something surfaces, capture it. Notes app, napkin, your palm if you have to, then step back into your day. Notice what's happening? You're not forcing creativity. You're setting the stage and letting it walk in. A chef testing sauces, a student stuck on a sentence, a manager prepping for a tough conversation. They all benefit from this little pocket of focused nothing. The common thread isn't talent, it's space. Worried it's lazy, it's not. Waiting with intention is a technique, not a timeout. It resets your attention, hands your mind a direction, and frees it to surprise you, turning a standstill into a breakthrough. So the next time boredom knocks, don't slam the door. Invite it in, give it a simple task, and listen. Not every idea will sing, but one will hum. And that hum will guide your next step. That's the focused boredom advantage. Silence pointing at a question, and creativity answering back. Picture your mind like a busy airport. Planes circling, announcements blaring, 1,000 tiny decisions taxiing for takeoff. Now, imagine a private runway. No lines, no noise, just clear sky. That's what a smart routine gives you. Quiet airspace for the flights that actually matter. Here's the simple truth most people skip. Routine isn't about being rigid. It's about conserving mental fuel. Every small choice, what to wear, when to start, where to put your keys withdraws a little energy. One choice, not a big deal. A dozen before breakfast and your attention is already tired. Routines turn those tiny choices into autopilot, so your best thinking shows up for the hard stuff. Think about the moments when your brain feels razor sharp. Those flashes when ideas just click. They don't happen while you're hunting for your wallet, juggling messages, or debating breakfast. They happen when the basics are handled. Order first, genius later. So what does that look like in real life? It's as small as setting the same cue to begin. Same chair, same drink, same playlist, like a light switch for focus. It's a repeatable start, so your mind recognizes we're working now. It's preparing one step tonight, so tomorrow is easy. Shoes by the door, bag packed, water on the desk. When friction drops, momentum rises. And here's the twist. Routines don't shrink your life. They expand it. When you stop burning energy on repeats, you earn more space for creativity, for strategy, for deep conversation. You get more calm, more control, more surprise. Routine builds the stage so the spontaneous can shine. Worried routine will make you feel trapped? Flip it. A routine is a promise you write to your future self. I'll handle the small stuff so you can go chase the big stuff. That's not a cage, that's freedom. Ask yourself a simple question. What is one tiny decision I can remove every day? Morning clothes ready? A default lunch? A set time for deep work? Phone in another room? A short warm-up that tells your brain it's game time. Keep it repeatable, keep it gentle, and keep it consistent enough that your mind stops negotiating. Because negotiation is where energy leaks. A routine ends the debate. The first days might feel plain. That's fine. Stay with it. Routines compound like interest. After a week, you'll notice fewer stalls. After a month, you'll notice more clarity. After a season, you'll wonder how you ever worked any other way. Your mind is built for hard problems, bright ideas, bold moves. Let the routine carry the rest. Start with one cue, one simple loop, one small promise tonight. Tomorrow, step onto your private runway, then take off. The strongest confidence doesn't boom. It barely rustles the air. It's the kind you feel before you ever see it, like calm water that's deeper than it looks. Invisible confidence feels like peace, not performance. It's not a pose, not a costume, not a speech you practiced in your head. It's that quiet knowing, I'm good, even if no one claps. Ever seen someone enter a room and not compete for space? Yet space seems to open for them. That's the hidden advantage. Calm becomes gravity. People sense it. They trust it. And here's the twist. So do you. So what does it sound like inside? It sounds like a slower pulse. It sounds like taking one extra breath before you answer. It sounds like telling yourself, I don't need to win this moment. I just need to be honest in it. Invisible confidence isn't louder words. It's fewer words, chosen with care. It isn't a flawless script. It's presence. When you're present, your eyes do the talking. Your pace does the talking. The steady tone that says, I'm not in a hurry to impress you. I'm just here. That peace shows up in small habits. You keep small promises to yourself. Sleep, water, movement, a 5-minute reset when your brain feels noisy. You finish the tiny things you said you'd do. You put your phone down when your attention is needed. That's how trust builds from the inside out. Tiny bricks, quiet wall. It also shows up in how you handle pressure. Performance asks, am I winning? Peace asks, what matters? Performance wants a spotlight. Peace wants the right next step. So when you feel your chest tighten, try this. Slow your breath, drop your shoulders, and name the simple truth of the moment. I can only do what I can do right now. It's enough. Invisible confidence is generous. It listens more. It asks short questions and lets silence work. And silence does work. It gives other people room to reveal themselves. When they do, you understand them better. That understanding becomes another hidden edge. Will people mistake your calm for weakness? Sometimes, let them. You'll know what they don't. Calm is a choice, not an absence. It's restraint. It's the quiet power to respond instead of react, to exit a pointless battle without losing your center, to stand your ground without stomping. Here's the part most folks hide. Confidence isn't proof you won't fail. It's proof you'll be okay if you do. When you carry that, you're not bargaining with approval. You're anchored. You can show kindness without fear. You can say no without guilt. You can say yes without begging. And when everyone else is busy performing, you'll be the one conserving energy, holding steady, seeing clearly, moving clean. That's the hidden advantage. Not volume, not a mask. Just a quiet core that says, I'm already enough. And from that place, everything gets easier. Here's the move nobody expects. Answer slowly. Most people sprint to fill a question, as if silence is a trap. But when you slow down, you flip the frame. Quick can sound anxious. Slow sounds like control. It signals, I'm choosing my words, not chasing yours. Think of a conductor lifting the baton. The room waits. That pause isn't empty. It's authority. Same with you. A breath, a beat, eyes steady, and then your words land heavier because you placed them, you didn't spill them, worried they'll think you don't know. They won't, if your stillness is calm, not apologetic. Let your body speak first. Shoulders down, chin level, hands quiet. That posture says, I heard you, I'm considering, now I'll respond. In a job interview, a tough follow-up hits. Instead of blurting, you take 2 breaths. You glance down, jot a single keyword, look back up, and say, here's what I'm hearing. Here's the part that matters. And here's how I've handled it before. You just turned a test into a demonstration. In a negotiation, pace is power. If the other side rushes, they reveal tells, nervous concessions, extra details, hidden deadlines. Slow your answer, and they'll often keep talking to fill the space, and that's when useful facts spill. Silence becomes your ally, not your enemy. With a friend or partner, slow isn't cold, it's respect. Give me a second to take that in. That sentence softens the ground. It says, I'm here, I'm listening, I care about getting this right. Then your answer can be firm without sounding defensive. Here's the twist. Slow doesn't mean long. It means intentional. A single breath, a sip of water, a reframe like, if I understand you, the real question is. These tiny moves buy clarity. Clarity beats speed every time. Afraid they'll jump in before you're ready? Hold your pause while maintaining eye contact, then lift a finger slightly as a gentle keep going cue. That small gesture tells the room you're still at the wheel. Worried you'll sound robotic? Vary your tempo. Start measured, then quicken on key points, then downshift on the close. That rhythm feels natural, and the change in pace keeps attention locked. The secret most people hide is simple. People with real leverage don't rush. They set the tempo. They don't fill space to prove they belong. They let space prove it for them. So next time a hard question lands, don't race it. Breathe. Let the moment stretch just enough to show you're not rattled. Then speak with weight. Slow isn't stall. Slow is signal. Slow is control. Carry a tiny trash can in your mind, not a big one, just enough to toss the petty stuff. The side eye, the slow reply, the offhand comment that stings for a minute and vanishes if you let it. Here's the quiet edge most people miss. A short memory isn't weakness. It's strategy. It's choosing where your energy actually goes. Think of a cornerback in football. They get burned on a play, then jog back, smiling, ready for the next snap. That's not denial, that's survival. The past doesn't get to call the next play. What would that look like for you? Someone cuts you off in traffic, then you replay it for an hour. That's an hour you don't get back. Someone forgets your idea in a meeting, and you stew all afternoon. That's your creativity stuck idling. Small slights are like pebbles in your shoe. One is nothing. A handful steals your stride. Here's the shift. When a minor slight hits, label it small. Labeling shrinks its power. Then breathe 3 slow breaths. On the third breath, ask, is this worth a day of my life? Most of the time, the answer's no. Drop it in that tiny trash can. Move. And here's the twist. Forgetting small stuff doesn't make you passive. It makes you lethal at the moments that matter. You're conserving fuel for real fights. Your health, your craft, your relationships, your boundaries. You can't go to war over every paper cut and still have strength for the big wound. There's a trap, though. The second story, the story you tell yourself after the event. They disrespected me. They always do. I'm invisible. That second story is where resentment multiplies. Catch it. Say out loud, that's just a story. Then replace it with a clearer one. Maybe they're stressed. Maybe it was nothing. Maybe I'll ask once and then move on. You're not excusing bad behavior. You're refusing to pay interest on a debt that wasn't even yours. Try this today. Pick one arena you care about. Maybe it's your family, your team, your body. When small stuff pops up, let it pass. But when something threatens that arena, when it's a real line cross, address it directly, calmly, with presence. Your voice lands heavier when you haven't spent it on every little slight. Ask yourself, what am I guarding? My pride or my peace? Imagine your attention like a spotlight. Keep it tight. Don't light up every corner. Light up the stage you're performing on. Short memory isn't forgetting your standards. It's curating your focus. It's the discipline of dropping what's petty so you can lift what's heavy. You don't need to win every skirmish to win the war. You need to walk farther than most, with fewer pebbles in your shoe. So carry that tiny trash can. Use it often. Save your strength for the battles that build your life, not the ones that only bruise your ego. That's the short memory advantage. Less noise, more power, and a lot more room to run. Here's an odd flex. Become the person nothing dramatic ever seems to happen to on purpose. Think about it. Chaos loves open doors. It looks for cracks in your day, big shiny gaps where distraction can walk right in. A boring life quietly seals those cracks. Same wake time, same morning routine, same small stack of habits. You build a moat around your attention and trouble can't swim. Sounds dull? Only on the surface. Underneath, it's pure control. When your evening looks predictable, your morning feels powerful. When your calendar repeats, your energy recovers. When your phone stays quiet, your mind gets loud with ideas. Boring is just the costume. The real character is calm. Here's the twist. Most people miss. A steady life doesn't shrink you. It frees you. Because you're not burning fuel on last-minute decisions. You've got room for the work that matters. You stop negotiating with yourself over every small choice. What to wear, what to eat, when to start, when to stop. You automate the small so you can amplify the big. Ask yourself, Where does chaos usually find you? Late nights that bleed into later mornings? Random plans that steal an entire day? Notifications that nibble your focus until there's nothing left? Close those doors. Pick a bedtime and guard it. Set one sacred block each day where you go device-free and deep. Keep a simple rotation of meals. Lay out clothes the night before. Keep your workspace clean enough that sitting down means starting, not searching. It's not glamorous, but it's a lever. And every pull compounds. You'll notice it in small ways first. The grocery bill drops because you're not winging it. Your workouts happen more often because getting ready takes less thought. Projects that used to stall start sliding forward, inch by inch, then foot by foot. Momentum shows up looking ordinary. That's the trap. Ordinary is how extraordinary sneaks in, worried you'll lose your spark. You won't. You'll choose it. When your baseline is steady, adventure becomes a choice, not an accident. Say yes to the trip. Take the risk. Try the weird idea. You can do it without burning down the week, because the week has structure. You return to a base that holds. Here's the secret advantage people hide. Boring doesn't make you small. It makes you hard to knock off course. It makes you uninteresting to chaos and very interesting to your future. Try 1 week. Bedtime locked, morning simple, one deep work block, one daily walk, phone on silent for a few hours. Watch how much noise falls away when you stop inviting it. Quiet is a strategy, predictable is a shield, and boring. Boring is the camouflage of someone building something dangerous, slow and steady, right in plain sight. Confession. The best message I ever got from a stranger made me drop my coffee. Not because it was clever, because it was honest. No fluff, no fake warmth, just a clear line that said, I noticed a problem, I can fix it, want help. Polite messages knock and wait. Honest ones walk up, look you in the eye and offer something real. That's the advantage. When you remove the sugar, people taste the point. Think about what usually lands in an inbox. Hope you're doing well. Quick questions circling back. It's noise, wearing a tie. Now picture this instead. I saw the checkout break on mobile. You're losing sales. I can fix it in one afternoon. If you want proof, I recorded a 1-minute walkthrough. Want the link? Which one gets a reply? Honesty doesn't mean harsh. It means plain, measurable, and human. Start with what you noticed. Then say what you can do. Then make the smallest ask. No resume dump. No life story. A cold email is a handshake, not a monologue. Here's a simple rhythm you can steal. First line, what you noticed. Second line, why it matters in simple terms. Third line, what you can do about it. Fourth line, proof in a tiny package. Fifth line, the smallest possible next step. That's it. 5 clear beats, like a song you can tap out on a desk. Worried it'll sound too direct? Ask yourself, would you rather get the truth in one breath or 3 paragraphs of polite fog? People are busy. They respond to clarity, to specifics, to a little risk taken on your side. Try this tone. Hey Maya, noticed your pricing page loads slow on phones. That lag scares buyers. I optimize pages like this and usually cut load time in half. I recorded a 1-minute screen share showing the bottleneck. Want me to send it? If it resonates, I'll fix 1 page for free so you can judge the result. Then you decide. See the beats? Specific, useful, low pressure. And here's the twist. You're not just asking, you're proving. A small artifact, a short demo, a single screenshot. Something that says, I've already started helping, but what if you don't have a portfolio? Borrow results from a personal project, a volunteer gig, or a tiny experiment you ran on your own site. Honesty includes context. Say it plainly. I tried this on my site and cut bounce by a third. It's small, but it might help you too. The right person will appreciate the candor. One honest message can open a door that 100 polite nudges can't. Not because it's louder, but because it respects time, carries proof, and takes a little courage. So write the line you'd want to receive. Clear, useful, human. Then hit send, and let the honesty do the heavy lifting. Here's a quiet truth most folks overlook. The bigger the circle, the louder the noise, and the smaller the progress. A small circle isn't isolation, it's filtration. It's the difference between a crowded lobby and a living room. In the lobby, there's endless chatter and performance. In the living room, there's safety, presence, and people who will tell you the truth, even when it stings a little, because they want you to win, not just clap. Drama loves to wear a community mask. It shows up as constant updates, hot takes, and that weird pressure to keep up so you don't fall out of the loop. But real community doesn't drain you to include you. It steadies you to grow you. Picture this. Your group chat has dozens of names. Every day, a swirl of opinions, subplots, and side eyes. You share a win, and it gets buried under 20 other conversations. Then you shift to a tiny thread with 3 people. You say, I'm trying something new. One friend asks, what's the goal? Another says, if you stumble, we'll help you reset. You can feel your shoulders drop. That's the small circle doing its job, turning down the volume so you can hear your own voice. Psychologically, when people feel heard and safe, defenses lower and cooperation rises. In that kind of space, your brain stops scanning for status and starts scanning for solutions, which is why tiny circles tend to move faster and go deeper. Here's the twist. A small circle isn't just who's in. It's what you invite in. Choose people who ask better questions, not just louder ones. People who cheer your boundaries, not just your highlights. People who notice your effort, not only your outcomes. When that's your norm, you stop performing and start practicing. You'll take more honest reps, and those reps become skill, then confidence, then results. Think about meetings. 10 voices in a room often turn into politics. Who speaks first? Who speaks the longest? Who's secretly texting afterward? But a quick huddle with 2 trusted minds. You'll make a cleaner decision in half the time, then bring it back to the larger group with clarity. Less theatre, more traction. Does a small circle mean fewer opportunities? It means better ones. Does it mean fewer opinions? It means sharper perspective. And yes, it protects you from the drama disguised as belonging. The small circle won't let chaos borrow your calendar. It won't let gossip manage your mindset. It won't let urgency bully your priorities. If you want a simple filter, try this. Who tells you the truth kindly, shows up when the phone is down, and celebrates your no as much as your yes? Keep those people close. Let everyone else be friendly from a distance, because growth doesn't need an audience. It needs a table, a few chairs, and people who know how to listen. That's the advantage no one brags about, because it isn't flashy. It's quiet, strong, and yours to build. Keep the circle small. Keep the standards high. Keep the peace. Some ambitions wear a neon sign. Others whisper from the next room while you get to work. Here's the reframe. Ambition that whispers grows faster than plans that shout. Think about 2 people starting the same goal. One announces the 5-step plan, the timeline, the launch date, the whole performance. The other quietly sets a tiny daily target, keeps a private scoreboard, and moves day after day. No speeches, No countdowns, just small wins stacking where no one's arguing with them. Which one actually picks up speed? Noise feels like momentum, but it's often just friction wearing a costume. When you're public too early, you trigger an audience you then start performing for. The goal shifts from building the thing to managing the perception of the thing. Suddenly, every choice gets heavier, every change needs a reason, and the whole project starts asking for applause instead of progress. The silent path works differently. You hold your idea like a seedling, not a billboard. You test it in small, safe ways, one decision at a time. Feedback comes from the work, not the crowd. Psychologically, your brain runs better when it feels safe and self-directed. When attention isn't split, chasing applause, effort compounds. It's not secrecy, it's strategy. It's not hiding. It's protecting the conditions where growth actually happens. Try this in real life. Choose a private scoreboard you can update in under 1 minute. A simple daily yes or no. Keep your first improvements invisible until they're undeniable. Share progress with exactly one person who protects your focus, not with a committee that edits your courage. When someone asks what you're up to, smile and give a sentence, not a speech. Then go back to the next small action. Will it feel slower at first? Maybe. But notice what's gaining power. Your follow-through, your clarity, your calm. Quiet is a pressure valve. It gives you room to adjust, to learn, to change course without the drama of walking back a public promise. And in that space, something steady starts to build. What happens when you stop announcing and start building? Whose approval are you working for? Let the work speak when it's ready. Let the early days be yours and private, patient and protected. The advantage isn't loud, it's consistent. It's the quiet click of one choice, locking into the next, the subtle lift of momentum gathering under your feet. And when it's time to show it, you won't need a megaphone. The results will do the talking, and they'll be very, very hard to ignore. The cheapest place I ever lived had a front door that stuck, a window that rattled, and a kitchen floor that always felt a little too warm, and it gave me more power than any fancy address ever did. Here's the part no one tells you. Cheap rent isn't just saving dollars, it's buying choices. It's not just less cost, it's more control over your time, your stress, your next move. I remember coming home to that wobbly table and chipped mug and feeling something rare in adult life. Room. Room to say no to work that didn't fit. Room to take an unpaid afternoon to learn a skill. Room to stack small wins until something real showed up. When your monthly number is low, your shoulders drop, your brain gets quieter, and your calendar loosens. Psychologically, that sense of safety opens the door to creativity and smarter risks, because you're not bargaining with panic. Think about the other path for a second. Beautiful building. View that makes you feel successful for about 5 minutes. Then the bill arrives every month like a leash made of velvet. You say yes to everything just to feed it. You stop experimenting. You stop surprising yourself. You trade curiosity for certainty and call it being responsible. So what does cheap rent actually buy? First, runway. Not forever, just long enough to stumble without breaking. A little space between you and the ledge turns mistakes into feedback instead of failures. Second, permission to try weird things. The class you've been eyeing. The tiny business that looks silly on paper. The day a week you keep clear for deep work. When your baseline is lighter, those moves feel possible, not reckless. And here's the twist. Leverage. People think leverage is fancy contracts or big investors. Real leverage is time. It's the patience to wait for a better offer, the calm to negotiate without neediness, the guts to walk away. That edge shows up in your voice, in your posture, in the choices you don't have to make anymore. Will everyone understand this? Probably not. Will it always look impressive? Definitely not. But the quiet advantage of a low overhead life is that it compounds. While other people chase symbols, you're building options. While they buy applause, you buy mornings. And day by day, that difference adds up to a life that fits. If you're choosing between shiny and simple, try simple for a season. Put the difference where your future can use it. Skills, savings, small bets. Let the ordinary apartment be the reason your life gets extraordinary. Because the point of money isn't status, it's freedom. And sometimes the fastest way to get it is the least glamorous address on the block. That's the real win, less noise, more choice, and a life you actually get to steer. Imagine waking up and the first bill you hear is silence. No minimum payment whispering in your ear. No interest clock ticking in the background. Just room to think and a little space to choose. That's the quiet superpower of being debt-free. It doesn't make life easy. It makes life clearer. Because when you don't owe, you don't have to rush into the wrong yes just to stop the bleeding. You get to pick your risks on purpose. Picture this. 2 people get the same shaky job offer. Low pay, long hours, vague promises. One has balances stacked like dominoes, the other doesn't. The first says, yes fast, stomach tight, because a late fee is waiting. The second pauses, asks for better terms, maybe even walks. Same offer, different leverage. One decision is fear, the other is choice. Or think about starting something of your own. With debt, every dip feels existential. Every experiment has to work right now. Without it, you can test, iterate, and toss the bad ideas without your whole life wobbling. It's not that you're fearless. It's that the fear isn't steering the wheel. Psychologically, that shift changes your brain's state from threat to possibility. Lower threat means better judgment, more creativity, and steadier follow-through, which is why the pause you earn by not owing so much often leads to smarter, longer-term calls. Here's the twist. People will tell you debt is a tool, and yes, sometimes it can be, but tools cut both ways. The real advantage isn't about being anti-risk. It's about choosing the right risks on your timeline with your options intact. Not pressure, but preference. Not scrambling, but strategy. What does that feel like day to day? It's the freedom to say no thanks without a speech. It's the confidence to say, make me a better offer and mean it. It's the patience to wait for the right door, not just the nearest exit. You'll still get butterflies, you'll still take bets. But the bets are clean. They're not tangled up with late notices and panic math. And when you do say yes to a move, a role, a partner, a project, it's because it lines up with your values, not because the interest meter is screaming. Start small if you're in the thick of it. One bill down, one tiny cushion built, one decision made from calm instead of chaos. Each step lowers the noise, and the quieter it gets, the braver you become. People hide this because it's simple and unflashy. No hacks, no magic. Just relief that turns into power. Debt-free doesn't mean zero risk. It means your risks are real choices, not desperation. Hear that? It's the sound of unused minutes waiting to be spent. When you don't have kids, your time isn't a schedule you serve. It's currency you control. You get to decide where it flows, how it compounds, and what kind of life it buys. Think of time like money with interest. Put it into shallow, scattered tasks, and it disappears. Invest it in deep work, real rest, and a few bold bets. That's when it grows. No pickups, no bedtimes, no surprise sick days, just a blank ledger. And your name on every line. So what do you do with it? You build a morning that belongs to you. Not a miracle routine, just a simple rhythm that leaves you stronger than you woke up. Move your body, eat something real, step into the day already one promise up. That quiet pays dividends in energy, in patience, in focus. You create a work block that actually works. Shut the door, kill the pings, and give your attention to one hard thing. Not forever, just long enough to matter. That kind of focus is a cheat code. It turns projects into promotions, ideas into income, and talent into traction. And when you're done, you can stop. You can walk away without guilt, because your evening isn't a second shift. It's yours. You make room for curiosity. Learn a language. Pick up an instrument. Say yes to a class on a random Tuesday. Take the trip when flights are cheap and places are empty. Drive out to see the sky get dark. Read the long book. Call a friend and let the conversation stretch. All of that is easier when your calendar has space to breathe. Is it better than having kids? It's not a competition. It's a different game with different rules. And if you're playing this one, play it like it matters. Don't apologize for your freedom. Aim it. Here's the twist most people hide. The advantage isn't the absence of responsibility. It's the ability to choose your responsibilities. You can pick the hard things that shape you, the hard run, the hard project, the hard conversation, instead of being cornered by the ones that choose you. That choice builds a sturdier self. So draw a simple map. What gives you energy and what quietly drains it? What would move the needle if you did it every single week? What can you stop doing without the sky falling? Say no with kindness. Say yes with commitment. And then protect those choices like they're rent money. When your time is fully your own, you hold a rare kind of leverage. Use it to become someone you're proud to wake up as. Build the life that fits your values now, so if you ever add new chapters later, they open on a solid page. Quiet, focused, intentional. That's the no kids advantage. Spend it well. What if the strongest version of you is the one that refuses to pick a single costume? We're told to choose a lane, brand ourselves, lock it in. It sounds safe. But a fixed identity is a glass box. You can see the world, you just stop touching it. A flexible identity is the quiet advantage, the one people rarely mention because it makes change look easy. It keeps you evolving when others stall. Think of identity like a wardrobe, not a uniform. Some days you need the builder. Some days you need the listener, the scientist, the artist. That's not being fake. That's being fully equipped. A uniform says, "This is who I am." A wardrobe says, "This is what the moment needs." Here's the twist most folks miss. The world rewards the person who can refit themselves faster than the problem can grow. Athletes switch positions to extend their careers. Entrepreneurs pivot when the market moves. Scientists trade old theories for better ones. Artists reinvent so the art stays alive. The common thread isn't talent, it's identity that can flex under pressure. So how do you build that? Start with the words you use about yourself. Trade, "I'm just the kind of person who," for "I'm the kind of person who learns roles fast." That tiny swap loosens the lid. Next, run small experiments. This week, try one new behaviour for 1 hour. Lead the meeting if you're normally quiet, or sit back and listen if you usually dominate. Micro tests beat grand declarations. Collect evidence. When you succeed in a new role, name it out loud. When it's messy, and it will be, label that too. Failure is not your identity. It's a data point. Keep a short shift log at day's end. What you tried, what you learned, what you'll tweak tomorrow. It's like a daily software update for your sense of self. Change the stage and the cast. New environments invite new versions. Work from a different space. Join a community outside your field. Swap ideas with someone who doesn't talk like you. Your identity expands to fill the room it's given. Treat roles as verbs, not nouns. Not I'm a leader, but I'm leading right now. Not I'm creative, but I'm creating today. Verbs move, nouns freeze. Feeling resistance, that's the old armour rattling. It kept you safe once. Say thank you, then loosen a buckle. Flexibility isn't about pleasing everyone. It's about aligning who you are with what's needed, without losing your centre. You're not abandoning yourself. You're building range. Tomorrow, pick one micro shift. 1 hour, one new role, one fresh behaviour, then another the day after. Give yourself a week, then a month. Watch how doors open when your identity stops guarding the hallway. The world changes. Fast. Your edge is simple, powerful, and a little secret. Let who you are be a living thing. When others freeze, you'll still be moving. Your fastest unfair edge might be the thing everyone told you to hide, a small ego. Picture this. You're in a new room, new field, new challenge. Most people armour up, try to look sharp, nod like they've got it. You do the opposite. You take a breath and say, walk me through it like I'm brand new. Doors start opening that were shut a second ago. People lean in. They teach you. You move faster because you're not wasting energy pretending. A small ego lowers the pain of learning. Think of ego like friction on a slide. The bigger the ego, the more it burns when you move. Shrink it and you glide. When you let the sting of correction be small, you'll ask more questions. You'll try more reps. You'll get to, oh, I see sooner. Why don't more people do this? Because we're trained to defend status. We're taught to protect the image, not the progress. But here's the twist. People love helping a genuine beginner. They respect someone who says, I don't know yet, but I'm hungry. That humility isn't weakness. It's an open circuit. Knowledge flows in. Want the no ego advantage on demand? Try this today. Swap I know for show me. It sounds tiny, but it flips your brain from performing to exploring. Follow it up with, what am I missing? And then be quiet. Let the answer land. If you feel your chest tighten, like you want to explain or justify, pause. Count a slow 3. Say, keep going. That pause is where new skill slides in. Use training wheels shamelessly. Notes, checklists, dumb questions. Ask the obvious one nobody wants to ask. You'll look bold, not clueless, because you're trading posture for progress. When someone gives you feedback, label it out loud as a gift. Thank you. This just saved me a week. People remember that. They bring you more. Suddenly your learning speed compounds. If identity gets prickly, zoom out. You're not defending who you are, you're updating what you know. Scientist mindset, hypothesis, test, result, no drama. Run small experiments, tiny bets you can afford to lose, so being wrong is cheap and being right is repeatable. And give yourself a scoreboard that actually matters, not wins, lessons. Today, I asked one naive question. Today, I changed my mind. Today, I documented a mistake and how to avoid it. That's momentum you can feel. Here's the quiet truth people hide. A small ego makes you fearless because there's nothing to protect, only something to learn. You'll step into rooms you used to avoid. You'll pick up skills others delay for years, and you'll smile when someone corrects you because it didn't pierce your pride, it sharpened your edge. So try it now. Ask for the simple explanation. Invite the tough note. Trade performance for curiosity. Shrink the ego. Grow the speed. That's the real advantage, and it's yours. Your quietest competitor isn't grinding at midnight. They're already asleep. Not because they're lazy, but because tomorrow's win is decided the night before. Here's the strange thing about going to bed early. It doesn't feel like progress. There's no applause, no visible trophy, but it turns consistency into a quiet conveyor belt, moving you forward while everyone else is still negotiating with the snooze button. Think about two versions of the same morning. In one, you crash late, wake up foggy, and bargain with yourself. 5 more minutes. Coffee first? Maybe the workout can wait. That tiny loop repeats, and the day starts on defense. In the other version, you shut down early. You leave water by the bed, put your phone across the room, lay out clothes. When the alarm goes off, you're not wrestling with willpower. You're following breadcrumbs the night you left. Momentum is already rolling, and your morning self just steps onto the moving walkway. It's not about being stricter in the morning, it's about being kinder at night. Not later, harder, longer, earlier, calmer, easier. Psychologically, our brains crave predictability. When the end of the day has a clear exit ramp, lights down, screens off, routine on, your system stops burning fuel on micro-decisions and starts building a groove. That groove becomes the path of least resistance, which is the secret every consistent person seems to just have. And here's the twist. Early sleep isn't a punishment. It's fuel. Athletes know it. Musicians know it. Even surgeons build in structured pauses so their next move is clean. Rest isn't what you earn after the work. It's what makes the work good. So how do you make this real, not just a nice idea? Start by shrinking the window. Pick a simple lights down cue. Maybe a lamp clicks off, or a playlist that only plays at night. Tie it to something you already do, like brushing your teeth. Keep the phone out of reach, and leave one visible gift for your future self. A packed bag, a filled bottle, the first page of a to-do list with only one starter task. When the morning arrives, you'll feel pulled, not pushed. Will it be perfect? No. Some nights spill over, some mornings slip. But early sleep is like a quiet, compounding investment. A little, repeated, grows into a lot. One earlier night makes one better morning. String a few of those together, and your days stop starting at 0. They begin with momentum already under your feet. Want a hidden edge most people ignore because it looks boring? Go to bed early. Let the night carry tomorrow's weight. And watch how that boring choice turns into silent momentum. The kind that makes consistency feel effortless and progress feel inevitable. That tiny red dot on your phone isn't a to-do list. It's a leash, and you can slip it. Here's the quiet edge most people overlook. Leaving messages unread, on purpose, buys back your mind, not forever, not rudely, just long enough for you to own your attention again. Think about what happens the moment you open a message. Your brain shifts lanes, your heartbeat ticks up, and suddenly you're solving someone else's problem on their timeline. Every ding says, hurry. Every preview whispers, now. That pressure feels like urgency, but it's really borrowed anxiety, and it's expensive. So try this. Delay the open. Let the bubble sit, not as a power play, more like a seatbelt. When you hold back, you keep the wheel. You decide when to read, when to think, and when to answer with a clear head. But isn't that rude? It's respectful, actually, of your time and of a better reply. You can still acknowledge without diving in. A quick "got this" will reply this afternoon sets expectations and gives you breathing room. People don't need instant access. They need clarity, and you need space. Create a couple of response windows, morning and late afternoon. Between those, focus mode. Mute badges, silence the buzz, turn off the pop-up that flashes half a sentence and steals your focus. When it's time, open messages like a stack of mail, one by one, start to finish. You'll respond faster and think sharper because you're single-tasking. It's amazing how calm your brain feels when it isn't ping-ponging all day. What about emergencies? Real emergencies don't text you 3 times. They call, they escalate, they show up. Keep a bypass list for the few people who truly need immediate access. Family, a boss, a client who's on a live deadline. That's not everyone. That's the short list. Here's the twist. When you stop treating every message like a fire, your replies get better. You write with context. You see patterns. You skip the back and forth and send one clear answer. Fewer messages, less noise, more signal. If you struggle to resist the tap, make it friction heavy. Move your messaging app off the home screen. Disable the preview. Use a simple rule. No messages before your first meaningful task is done. Sometimes the smallest barrier breaks the habit. And if guilt starts tugging, remember this: instant response is a story you were sold. The real measure isn't speed, it's impact. You're not paid in pings, you're paid in results, in presence, in calm. So leave a few bubbles untouched a little longer. Hold your ground. Protect your focus like it's oxygen, because it is. That's the advantage people rarely admit. Not more apps, not more hacks. Just the courage to ignore briefly so you can choose wisely. When you're ready, open. Until then, enjoy the quiet. That's silence. That's your mind coming back to you. Door clicks shut. Cool air kisses your face, and the world finally leaves you alone. Hear that quiet? That's your advantage warming up. Each step pulls you out of the swirl, notifications, noise, the rush, and into a steady rhythm you can actually control. Walking to work is simple, almost boring, and that's the point. Boredom is where the mind stops shouting and starts thinking. Want a steadier day? Start with a steadier walk. Let your pace become a metronome. Heel, toe, breathe. In through the nose for a count of 4. Hold for 4. Out for 4. You don't need a fancy app. You need pavement, a plan, and a pocket of time you refuse to surrender. Here's the twist most people miss. The walk isn't wasted time. It's a transition ritual. You're moving from one identity to another, home you to work you, and the body loves rituals. The conflict in your head loses volume when your feet make a simple promise to keep moving forward. What if the best meeting of your day happens before you arrive? Pick one idea as you leave the door. Just one. A tricky conversation. A messy project. Name it out loud, then let it sit while you walk. Don't squeeze it. Just keep the rhythm. The brain will sort pieces for you when you stop pressing. You'll notice little clues, the way the light hits a window, the smell of coffee, a snippet of a stranger's joke. And somehow, that unrelated detail unlocks the right first step. Not magic, just motion. If stress shows up, tight shoulders, shallow breath, drop your gaze to eye level, roll your shoulders back, and lengthen your exhale. That longer exhale is a brake pedal for your nervous system. It tells your body, we're safe. Calm returns, and with calm comes focus. Worried you don't have time? Even 10 minutes helps. 5 streets, 2 corners, 1 crosswalk where you decide how you want to show up. You can walk the same route every day and still treat it like a fresh rehearsal. Or, once a week, take the scenic detour. Variety isn't just fun. Your brain lights up when it sees new angles, and that spark carries into your work. And notice this: walking builds boundaries. When the day ends, you walk back home and leave the echoes on the sidewalk. You re-enter as a person, not a job title. That's not laziness. That's long-term performance. Burnout loves a blurred line. Walking redraws it. What if momentum isn't a calendar thing, but a body thing? Start small. Lace up. Step outside. Let the morning air do its quiet work. You're not chasing motivation. You're creating it, one footfall at a time. The email storm can wait. The walk teaches patience. It teaches presence. It gives you what you actually need before you try to give everything away. Calm first, clarity next. Then, work. The quiet click of your own door becomes your time clock. And just like that, you're on the clock you set. Here's the trade most people miss. Working from home swaps being seen for being free. The hallway nod, the quick desk drop by, the "you around" message, all gone. That can feel like you're invisible. But invisibility isn't a weakness. It's leverage if you use it. In a home office, no one measures your value by how often you swivel in a chair. They measure the outcomes. So give them something undeniable. Replace visibility with proof. When you start your day, write the one thing that actually moves the needle, then build the rest around it. When you finish, send a short, friendly wrap-up with what's shipped, what's next, and what you need. Not a report, a pulse. It's like flipping on a lighthouse. Your signal cuts through the fog and everyone sees it. What about the freedom part? Freedom is the chance to pair your best energy with your most important work. Early bird, night owl, midday sprinter. Lean into it. If your brain is sharp in the morning, guard that time like it's gold. Save shallow tasks for your low tide hours. That's not slacking. That's strategy. But freedom without boundaries turns messy fast. Create a start ritual and a stop ritual. A mug you only use when you're at work. A short walk as your micro commute. A lamp that clicks on to begin and off to end. Tiny anchors signal your mind, hey, we're in focused mode now. And when you power down, you actually leave. Worried about being forgotten? Ask a bigger question. Do you want to be noticed or do you want to be trusted? Trust comes from clarity. Be clear about when you're reachable, how you prefer to communicate, and how you'll share progress. Over-communicate before people need to ask. If something slips, say so early. People don't remember every win, but they remember how you handled bumps. That's how you build real, durable trust. The home advantage also shows up in the quiet. You can sculpt your environment. Fewer interruptions, fewer drive-bys, fewer meetings that should have been a note. Use that quiet. Batch your calls. Leave space for deep, undistracted work, the kind that makes you proud later. Pride sounds soft, but it's a compass. If the day ends and you feel proud, you're aimed right. And yes, there's a cost. You'll miss the buzz, the banter, the quick laughs by the coffee machine. So schedule your connection with intent. A weekly check-in with a teammate. A standing virtual coffee. A monthly in-person lunch, if you can swing it. Connection by design beats small talk by accident. You traded visibility for freedom. Now make the freedom visible. Show the work. Guard your energy. Signal your progress. And build a rhythm that lets your best work and your best life happen in the same place, under the same roof, on purpose. The quietest raise you'll ever get doesn't show up on a paycheck. It shows up when your car stays parked. Think about how a commute really works. It doesn't take your day in one big chunk. It nibbles at it, 10 minutes here, 15 there, until your time feels thin. No commute flips that. You stop leaking hours. You start collecting them. Here's the simple math, spoken plainly. Say it's about 1 hour each way, 5 days a week. That's roughly 10 hours a week. Over 50 weeks, that's about 500 hours. Call it 20 days. 20 full days you can put back where you actually live. Stretch that over a handful of years, and you're not just saving hours, you're getting back entire seasons of your life. What would you do with 20 days? Sleep a little deeper? Move your body? Read the book that's been sitting on your nightstand for, a year? Or just sit with your coffee while the morning is still quiet? Those tiny choices add up faster than you expect. And here's the twist. Time is only the start. No commute changes your energy. You skip the traffic stress, the honking, the sprint to make a train you just missed by 30 seconds. Your nervous system thanks you. You arrive at work, wherever that is, without the static in your head. Calm becomes your default, not a weekend-only luxury. Notice what also shifts. Your money, fuel, parking, fares, the takeout you grab because you're running late, those costs vanish or shrink. But the real value is the focus you get back. You can start your day with your most important task while your brain is fresh, not after you've burned it on lane changes and red lights. So, what do you build with that focus? Maybe you deepen a skill. Maybe you start a side project you've been quietly sketching in your head. Maybe you get home in time for dinner without rushing, and you actually taste it. Relationships grow in that extra hour. Kids feel it. Partners feel it. Even your own sense of self catches up with you. No commute also hands you control. You can design micro rituals that anchor your day. A short walk to start. Sunlight on your face. 2 paragraphs of journaling. 15 minutes of deep work before any messages. It's a small doorway to a bigger life. Can everyone erase a commute tomorrow? Maybe not, but you can shrink it, bend it, outsmart it, shift your hours, work a couple days from home, carpool and turn the ride into learning with an audiobook. Choose a place closer to where you spend your time, not just where you're paid. Every mile you cut is a mile your life gets back. The No Commute Advantage isn't loud. It won't brag. It just gives quietly, hours, energy, freedom. And one day you look up and realize you didn't just save time. You reclaimed a year, then another, and you spent it on a life that actually feels like yours. If your progress lives only in your head, it can't bump into the people who can help you. We learn quietly because we're afraid of being seen mid-mess. But here's the twist. Sharing the mess is the magnet. It signals momentum. It invites help. It turns your private staircase into a public elevator. Think of it like switching on a lighthouse. Ships don't arrive because the lighthouse is perfect. They arrive because there's a light. Translation: when you learn in public, one sketch, one paragraph, one question, you create surface area for luck to land. Here's the reframe. Keeping your growth hidden feels safe, but it slows everything down. Showing your learning feels risky, yet it speeds everything up. Why does it work? Psychologically, visibility creates social proof. You're showing up, and that invites reciprocity. People like to help people who help themselves. It also builds accountability in a gentle way. When others can see your steps, you tend to take the next one. And feedback arrives sooner, so your loop tightens. You learn, you share, you get a nudge, you adjust faster. Picture this. You post a rough idea with 3 lines of context and 1 clear question. A stranger answers with a tiny fix that saves you hours. Someone else drops a resource you didn't know existed. A week later, a collaborator says, "I've been watching your updates. Want to try this together?" None of those moments require polish. They require presence. And here's the part people hide. Public learning changes your identity sooner than private wins. You start to see yourself as the kind of person who ships, not someday, now. That identity shift fuels consistency, and consistency compounds. Worried about being wrong? Share the attempt, not the authority. Let your tone be, "Here's what I'm trying. Here's what I'm noticing. Here's what I'm stuck on." Notice the shape of those lines. They're invitations, not performances. They open doors for generous people to walk through. Start embarrassingly small. One sentence about what you learned today. One sketch of how you think the system works. One dumb question you couldn't Google well. And if you're thinking, "But who cares?" The right people care when they can find you. The right doors open when there's something to knock on. Make it a rhythm. Learn, share a slice, ask for one micro critique, repeat. Some days you'll hear crickets. Other days you'll catch a wave. Either way, you're building a trail others can follow back to you. Because secrecy hoards potential, but visibility multiplies it. Turn the light on. Let your learning be seen, unfinished, honest, in motion. The opportunities you're hoping for aren't hiding from you. They're circling, waiting for a signal. A coffee, a bus fare, and a broken plan. That's how most real breakthroughs begin. Not with a grand launch or a perfect spreadsheet, but with a tiny bet that flops fast and teaches faster. Sounds backwards, right? But here's the quiet advantage most people miss. When failure is cheap, it becomes a teacher you can afford to visit every day. Think of expensive wins, like fancy souvenirs. They look great, but they don't tell you much about the path you took to get them. You won, sure, but was it the timing, the pitch, the product, the luck? It's hard to know. Cheap failures, on the other hand, are like sticky notes from reality. Clear, specific, actionable. You spent a little, you learned a lot, and you're already on to the next rep. What if you treated failure like practice instead of a verdict? Imagine running small experiments the way a musician runs scales. Quick, frequent, no drama. Send a rough version to 10 people instead of polishing for 10 weeks. Make one call with a messy outline instead of crafting the perfect deck. Post the idea today, see who cares by tomorrow, and only then start building. It's not laziness. It's speed to clarity. Here's the twist. Cheap failure doesn't just save cash, it saves courage. When the price tag is low, fear loses its bite. You'll try more, and because you try more, you'll collect more signals. More signals mean better judgment. Better judgment creates smarter bets. That loop, small risk, clear lesson, smarter next move, turns into momentum you can feel in your bones. Ask yourself a simple question. What's the smallest version of this that still tells me the truth? Not a simulation, not a guess. A real-world poke that taps the market, or the audience, or the gatekeeper. One message, one landing page, one street corner, one afternoon. If it flops, great, now you know. If it sparks, even better, you've got a reason to scale. And it's not just business, it's the conversation you've been avoiding, tested with one brave sentence. It's the new habit you try for 2 minutes, not 2 hours. It's the hobby you sample with borrowed gear before buying the whole kit. Small bets create honest feedback. Honest feedback builds confidence that isn't loud. It's quiet, sturdy, and earned. Will people think you're moving too slowly? Maybe. But watch what happens over a season. While others plan big and stall bigger, You'll stack tiny, scrappy attempts into a body of proof. By the time they're ready to start, you'll already know what works, what doesn't, and where to push next. So lower the cost of being wrong. Set a tiny budget, a tiny timeline, and a tiny scope, and then move. Fail on purpose, cheaply and often, because the real flex isn't getting it right the first time. It's learning so quickly that by the fifth time you can't miss. That's not luck. That's the advantage of failure you can afford. Everyone knows how to start fast. Almost no one knows how to keep going when it gets quiet. Here's the reframe. Patience isn't passive. It's pressure held steady. It's compounding in disguise. The longer you can hold a direction, the more the curve starts to bend in your favour. Picture this. Your friend launches a tiny side project. Week 1 is loud. Messages, likes, keep going. Week 3, silence. They say, maybe it's not working. You tell them, maybe it's just not done. Then you both breathe, make one small improvement and post again. That moment, the quiet, the doubt, is where patience becomes an edge, because most people quit right there. They don't lack talent, they lack timeline. Psychologically, patience creates a sense of safety in your own process. You're not scrambling for instant proof. So your brain can focus on better decisions instead of chasing every spike of approval. When you remove the urgency to win now, you lower noise, you see patterns, you learn faster. That's not vague optimism. It's a practical way to make better choices under less pressure, and small, smart choices compound. Think of a garden. You don't yank the seed up every morning to check the roots. You water, you weed, you wait. The growth is hidden until it isn't. And when it breaks through, it looks sudden. It's not sudden, it's earned. The same with skills, careers, relationships. Patience is the scaffolding that lets effort stack. And here's the twist. Patience isn't the same as doing nothing. Real patience is active. You keep the reps, but stop the panic. You set a horizon and protect it. You adjust tactics without abandoning the mission. Say you're learning a language. Today's win isn't fluency. It's 15 minutes every day for months. Say you're investing in your craft. Today's win isn't a masterpiece. It's one page, one sketch, one call, repeated. Those tiny, almost boring moves. They build quiet momentum, and quiet momentum usually beats noisy bursts. If you need a simple rule, use this. Decide what game you're really playing. Then stretch the time frame. Measure inputs you can control. Reduce how often you check for applause, and build a ritual that survives a bad day. The ritual is the safety net, the time frame is the engine. Why does this work so well? Because most people are optimized for speed, not staying. They chase new, abandon near finished, and reset the clock over and over. You don't have to outrun them. You just have to outlast them by holding steady through the dull parts, the invisible parts, the parts with no applause. That's where the separation happens. So ask yourself gently, what if nothing's wrong with you? You've simply not held long enough for the curve to show. Keep your line, keep your breath. Let time be your silent partner. Patience held long enough stops being a virtue and turns into your unfair edge. And when it does, it looks like luck from the outside and like choice from the inside. Here's a quiet edge almost no one flaunts. A day so predictable it looks boring, until you see how fast it beats the noise. We're told chaos is exciting, that jumping from fire to fire means you're important. But that buzz? It's just your brain chasing tiny wins. You feel busy, you feel needed, and yet the real work, your best work, keeps slipping to tomorrow. What if the unfair advantage is building a day that repeats on purpose? Think of a train line. Same tracks, same route, different cargo every ride. The predictability isn't a prison. It's the rails that move heavy things without drama. That's your day. The rails are fixed. The cargo is the creative, the ambitious, the hard. Here's the twist. Predictable days don't kill spontaneity. They fence it in so it can't eat your focus. When the start is the same, your mind stops arguing. When the first block is sacred, your big work actually happens. When meals, movement and shutdown are steady, your energy stops spiking and crashing. You trade jittery excitement for calm power. Ask yourself, what's the smallest set of anchors that would make today glide? Not 1,000 rules, just a few rails. Start time, set. First deep block, protected, no pings, no tabs. One clear priority named the night before, so you wake with a target. Movement after lunch to reset the brain. A simple shutdown ritual so your evening doesn't borrow stress from tomorrow. That's it. 5 rails, not glamorous, incredibly effective. Notice what falls away. Decision fatigue, doom scrolling, inbox-driven mornings. You stop negotiating with yourself every hour, which means you keep your willpower for the task that actually matters. That boring feeling? It's your nervous system taking a breath. Worried you'll miss opportunities? You won't. You'll just meet them from a place of readiness, not reactivity. Even creativity loves a container. Jazz sounds free, but it lives inside rhythm. Your day should too. So test it. For 1 week, pick a start time you can keep. Guard the first 90 minutes for the hardest thing. Put your phone in another room. Eat the same simple breakfast. Walk the same loop. End your day with the same 2 questions. What moved the needle? And what's the single target for tomorrow? Repeat. Adjust. Repeat again. How will you know it's working? You'll stop chasing urgency and start stacking wins. Your mood will smooth out. Your output will go up while your stress goes down. And that hollow buzz of chaos, disguised as excitement, will feel like cheap candy next to the slow burn of real momentum. The predictable day isn't dull. It's a quiet machine. Build it once, feed it daily, and let the compounding do what compounding always does. Turn small, steady choices into outsized results you can't hide. Here's a strange power move your ego will hate. Be the first to say, "I'm sorry." Think of a grudge like a weed. Small at first, easy to pluck. Give it a day or 2. It grows roots. An early apology yanks it out before it anchors. Simple as that. Why does going first work so well? It disarms defensiveness. It flips the script from blame to repair. Most people mirror the energy in front of them. So when you bring humility, you invite humility back. And here's the quiet bonus. The person who apologizes first sets the tone. That's not weakness, that's leadership. But doesn't apologizing first make you look guilty or soft? Only if you grovel. There's a difference between crawling and clarity. A clean apology is direct, calm, and grounded. It says, "I value us more than my pride." Here's a rhythm you can use. First, own your slice, just your slice. I raised my voice. I missed your text. I spoke over you. No excuses, no legal brief. Second, name the impact. That was disrespectful. That put you in a tough spot. Third, offer repair. Next time I'll pause and ask for your take. I'll fix the file and send an update. I'll make space for you to finish. Ownership, impact, repair, 3 beats, smooth and steady. What should you avoid? The non-apology. "I'm sorry if you felt," puts the blame on them. Replace it with, "I'm sorry I also cut the word but." It erases everything that came before it. Use and if you need context. I'm sorry I snapped, and I'd love to talk about what set me off after we reset. Timing matters. Early is gold. Same day is magic, next morning still lands, and after that you're clearing brush. Don't wait for a perfect speech. Go for honest, short, sincere. Worried they'll still be mad? They might be. Your job isn't to control their reaction, it's to clean your side of the street. Let the apology breathe. Silence can be part of the repair. If they bring up their hurt, listen. Don't defend, reflect. You're right, I did that. That's how trust starts to regrow. This works at work too. I cut you off in the meeting. That was out of line. I'm sorry. I'll make sure your point gets heard in the recap. It works at home. I brushed you off. You mattered less than my phone, and that's not who I want to be. I'm sorry. Ask yourself, what's more expensive? 5 awkward seconds now, or 5 awkward months later? Being first gives you control over the story. It turns a fight into a fix. It shows courage, signals safety, and stops a grudge before it grows roots. Pick one place today where you can go first. Keep it short, keep it clean, and notice how fast the room softens when you trade pride for peace. Here's a quiet edge almost nobody flaunts. No envy. Envy looks loud, but it steals in whispers. It pulls your eyes sideways, then your plans, then your day. It turns someone else's win into your distraction. When you drop it, even for a moment you feel it. More space, more air, more straight line energy. What if you treated envy like a pop-up ad? Close it. Come back to your work. Think of attention like a spotlight. Point it at their highlight reel and your stage goes dark. Swing it back to your practice, your reps, your craft, your next right move, and watch how the scenery changes. You notice details you missed. You remember what you can actually do today. Here's the twist. There's a clean difference between admiration and envy. Admiration says, that's possible. It's fuel. Envy says, that should have been mine. It's friction. One lifts your chin, the other knots your chest. You can keep the fuel and toss the friction. Try this in real life. A friend flashes a new title, a new place, a new car. That twinge? Normal. Name it envy. Then shrink it. Say, good for them. And what does that wake up in me? Is it the status I want or the skill that created it? If it's the skill, perfect. That's yours to practice. If it's just the shine, let it pass like weather. Because underneath envy, there's often a simple truth. You're seeing something you value. Good. Values are North Stars. When you see one light up, freedom, mastery, time with family, meaningful work, turn that flash into a plan you can touch. One honest step, taken today, beats a month of tight shoulders staring at a screen. Here's a line to carry. Their win doesn't take your share. There isn't a single pie cooling on one windowsill. There are more ovens than you think. More recipes too. And if a metaphor helps, imagine lanes on a track. You run faster when you stop staring into the lane beside you. That's not poetry, it's biomechanics. Eyes forward, stride opens up, so practice it small. The next scroll that stings. Pause for 7 seconds, breathe, say, good for them, back to work. Then do one tiny act that favours your future. Send one message, ship one draft, refine one skill. Stack that day after day, and envy won't have anywhere to sit. No envy isn't apathy, it's clarity. It's choosing your race, your pace, your definition of enough. It's the freedom to admire, to learn, to clap, and then to go build. Silence envy, and you'll hear the instructions you've been missing. They're simple. Do your reps. Guard your spotlight. Celebrate every honest inch forward. That's the advantage people rarely talk about, and the one you can use right now. Here's the advantage almost nobody talks about. Your best mood isn't sparked by motivation, it's built in your gut. Motivation is a firework. It pops, it's loud, it looks inspiring, then it fades. Your gut is a thermostat, quiet, steady, always working in the background. When your gut is calm and fed, your mood doesn't swing so hard. You don't chase the next pep talk. You live in a lane that's more steady, more grounded, more you. Think about those days when you're irritable for no reason, you're craving sugar, you're riding the coffee roller coaster. That isn't a character flaw. That's your gut asking for balance. Most of your feel-good chemistry is made and managed down there. When the neighborhood of microbes is diverse and fed, your brain gets a clearer signal. Feel safe, feel focused, feel okay. So how do you shift from chasing motivation to building stability? Start tiny. Start with breakfast. Add something with fiber, berries, oats, a slice of whole grain toast with peanut butter. Fiber is food for your gut bugs, and well-fed bugs make calmer brains. If you already eat breakfast, upgrade it a little. If you skip breakfast, sip something warm and add a small snack with protein and fiber. Small is sustainable. Next, bring in something fermented. A spoon of yogurt, a bit of kefir, a forkful of sauerkraut or kimchi. Start small and let your system adjust. These little living foods help repopulate the neighborhood. More neighbors, better mood traffic. Hydrate earlier than you think. A glass of water within the first hour of waking helps digestion move, which helps mood move. It sounds too simple until you actually try it and notice you feel less foggy by mid-morning. Walk after you eat, 5 to 10 minutes. Down the block, around your place, up and down stairs. Gentle movement tells your body you're safe and helps your gut do its job. Safe body, calmer brain. Chew your food. Really chew. It slows you down and tells your gut what's coming so it can meet you halfway. That one habit alone can reduce that wired then tired feeling after meals. Sleep is gut care too. Aim for a consistent window, even if the total hours aren't perfect yet. Consistency beats perfection. Your microbes love rhythm. Your mood does too. And here's the twist. When your gut gets nourished, motivation shows up without a fight. You don't have to hype yourself into action. You just have more stable energy, fewer spikes, fewer crashes, more calm, more follow-through. Ask yourself, what's one small upgrade you can make at your next meal? What's one walk you can add today, even if it's short? What's one habit you can keep for a week, not just a day? Build from there. Let your gut handle the heavy lifting. When the base is quiet and strong, motivation becomes a nice bonus, not the only thing holding you together. That's the real advantage, a mood you can trust, and a life that feels steady enough to grow. A mosquito doesn't have to bite to ruin your night. It just has to buzz. Notifications do the same thing to your mind. Tiny sounds, bright dots, a little tremor in your pocket. They don't look like much, but they're slicing your focus into scraps. Here's the hidden edge you rarely hear about: silence. Not awkward silence, chosen silence. The kind you create when you turn notifications off, on purpose, and guard your attention like it's cash in a vault. Think about how many times your day gets nudged off track. One ping, you peak. Another ping, you pivot. A third, you forget what you were doing. It's not laziness, it's wiring. Your brain treats every alert like a question mark, and questions demand answers. What if the questions stopped? People who seem mysteriously productive often have one quiet habit. They don't announce it. They won't brag about it. But their phone doesn't call the shots because it doesn't call at all. No banners, no bubbles, no red dots, just quiet. And in that quiet, the work gets deep. The ideas get weird in a good way, and the stress drops because nothing's tugging on your sleeve. You might worry you'll miss something important. You won't. You'll check on your terms. That's the shift, from push to pull, from constant interruption to intentional attention. You decide when to look. You decide what matters. That's control. So try this. Kill the badges, those little guilt buttons. Silence the buzz. Your pocket shouldn't be a dog whistle. Keep calls from the few people who truly need you, and let everything else wait. Then set check-in windows, tiny ones, a couple times a day, where you sweep through messages with a clear head. It'll feel strange at first, like stepping off a moving walkway. Then it'll feel like relief. Notice what returns when the noise dies down. You read longer. You listen better. You finish things. Even your downtime gets richer because you're actually resting rather than recovering from constant micro-startle. Is it dramatic to say this is an advantage? Look around. Most people surrender their attention for free. You're choosing to keep yours. That's not just an edge, that's leverage. Attention compounds. One focused hour today makes tomorrow's hour sharper. And here's the twist. Nobody can take it from you once you build it. It's a quiet win, a private win, the kind that shows up in better work, calmer moods, and a life that's not lived in fragments. Turn the noise off. Turn your mind on. Protect your attention from erosion and let the world wait for once, because your best work, your best ideas, your best self grow in the quiet you choose. Ever notice your brain gets oddly calm when the tech gets a little stubborn? When the screen takes a beat to load, when the fan hums, when there's nothing new popping up every second? Here's the twist. Those limits can give you an edge most people ignore. New tools come stuffed with shiny features and endless alerts. They promise speed. They deliver distraction. Old tools, the ones with fewer knobs and fewer temptations, create something rare. Silence. That silence is where the work happens. Think about an old laptop. No cinematic widgets, no auto-playing videos, no tidal wave of tabs. It boots, it opens your document, it stays out of your way. The slowness adds just enough friction to make you think before you click. That pause is powerful. It's a tiny guardrail that keeps your attention on the road, but doesn't slower hardware waste time. Only if you measure time in clicks instead of outcomes. What costs more? Waiting a beat to open a file, or losing your focus every few minutes and needing 10 to rebuild it? You win back more time by avoiding distraction than you'll ever gain from a faster loading bar. Constraints sharpen. Like a narrow doorway that forces you to carry only what matters, old tools cut the fluff. You stop decorating the process and start doing the work. Writers find their sentences. Designers lock in on the shape, not the glitter. Students finish the page instead of browsing for the perfect app. You can build this on purpose. Pull that old laptop out of the drawer, wipe it. Install one plain text editor, one browser, maybe one offline reference. Turn Wi-Fi off while you create, on only when you need to research. Put a single folder on the desktop with today's project. That's it. Ritual beats willpower. Every time it opens, your brain learns, we make things here. If you need background music, preload a short playlist. If you sketch, plug in a cheap tablet or stick to the trackpad. Limitations won't choke your creativity, they'll channel it. The baton is smaller, the rhythm gets tighter, and the song comes through clearer. What about collaboration? Keep the fast machine for meetings and handoffs. Use the old one for the messy middle, the draft, the sketch, the outline. Separate spaces, separate energies. Try this for 3 days. A morning block on the old laptop, no notifications, no extra apps, just the work. Notice how much you finish. Notice how you feel afterward, lighter, less scattered, more sure. The real advantage people hide isn't another feature or another platform. It's subtraction. It's choosing the tool that removes noise instead of adding more knobs to it. Keep your edge simple. Keep your focus protected and let the slow machine make you fast. Where do you go when you need to disappear without running away? Not your room, not a noisy cafe. You go where solitude hides in plain sight. The secret is the library. It looks public, but it gives you privacy. That's the quiet trick most people miss. Here's the reframe. It's not isolation. It's being alone, together, protected by shared silence and gentle rules that keep you undisturbed. Picture this. You walk in on a weekday afternoon. Someone's finishing a resume. Someone's sketching a side project. A parent rocks a stroller near the window. You choose a table by a plant. Drop your bag. Breathe a little slower. No one's selling you anything. No one's asking why you're here. You belong precisely because you asked for nothing. Here's what it looks like in real life. You bring a messy idea and a notebook. First page feels clumsy. Third page, you catch a clean thread. By the fifth, you're outlining next steps. In a library, you're near people, but not entangled with them. That soft presence makes your mind sit up straight. It's accountability without pressure, company without conversation. Psychologically, those quiet norms create a sense of safety. They lower defenses, then your focus opens up. When you don't have to scan for interruptions, your brain stops bracing and starts building. It's the opposite of the feed that pulls your attention in a dozen directions. The library asks nothing. In return, it gives you your attention back. And here's the twist. Privacy isn't just a locked door. It's a space where you can think without performing. In a library, you don't have to look productive to be productive. You can plan or daydream or learn in peace. Read a chapter. Journal the thought you've been avoiding. Map the next year. Or just let your nervous system finally drop 2 floors. If you need a nudge, set a simple ritual. Walk in with one question. Sit by the same corner. Tell yourself, I'll stay through 1 cup of water. Not forever, just long enough to let the noise settle. If you get stuck, move to a new chair and start a fresh page. Small shifts, same shelter. Why don't more people use this? Because the library advantage isn't flashy. You can't brag about silence. There's no viral badge for minding your own work in a public room. But that's exactly why it's powerful. When a resource is free, low status and quiet, it stays available. It's the door no one's fighting to block. So if you've been craving a place to be yourself, without eyes on you, without pressure, without the scroll, let the stacks hide you in plain sight. Claim that seat by the plant. Let the hush wrap around you like a soft shield. Do your thinking where privacy wears a public face. That's the library advantage. And once you feel it, you won't forget where the door is. Before your coffee cools, there's something quieter that can flip the switch in your head. Step outside, feel the air, hear one bird, then another. Sidewalk under your shoes, breath slipping into a steady rhythm. You haven't asked your brain for anything yet, and somehow it starts giving you answers. Here's the twist most people miss. Clarity comes from space, not speed. We reach for caffeine because it's fast, but a simple morning walk is faster at cutting through the fog. Movement plus morning light tells your system, hey, we're awake now. Not more noise, more signal. Picture this. A friend once told me, "I can't focus until my second cup." I said, "Give me 10 minutes." We walked the block. No podcast, no inbox, just steps and sky. She laughed halfway through. "Okay, why does this feel like my brain just rebooted?" It wasn't magic, it was a reset. The body moved, the eyes looked far, the mind stopped juggling, and the first priority stepped forward on its own. Psychologically, when you change your state, you change the story you're telling yourself. Morning light cues your internal clock. Gentle motion pumps oxygen and nudges attention out of yesterday's leftovers. Rhythmic steps calm background stress, like turning down a loud room so one voice becomes clear. Research keeps finding that short breaks lift performance, not by adding energy, but by releasing the grip of mental clutter. What if the idea you've been chasing is waiting on the sidewalk? You don't need a marathon. You don't need perfect shoes. You don't even need sunshine. 10 slow minutes, eyes up, phone away. Let your thoughts arrive without being summoned. If one worry grabs you, keep walking. Watch it pass, like a cloud that looked heavy but moved on. If an action step appears, say it out loud. Yes, actually whisper it, so your brain treats it as real. That tiny commitment changes how you'll show up when you get back. Notice the contrast. Coffee adds, walking subtracts. Coffee shouts, walking quiets. Coffee stimulates the noise. Walking reveals the signal. One isn't wrong, but only one gives you momentum without the crash. And here's the hidden advantage. You return home already in motion. That first task doesn't feel like a hill. It's just the next step because you've been stepping. You've created a body-level yes before the brain had time to argue. Less friction, more flow. Try it tomorrow. Before you scroll, before you pour, put your feet before your feed. Walk a small circle and let your brain catch up to your day. It's simple, it's free, it's yours. That's the morning walk advantage. Clarity first, caffeine second. Your brain isn't a junk drawer, it's a workbench. And when it's buried in tools and scraps, even your best ideas can't find the light. Here's the quiet advantage most people overlook. Write it down. Not to be neat, not to look productive. Write so the noise becomes lines on a page, so chaos becomes readable. Picture a morning that starts too fast, messages piling up, tasks crowding your head, a vague pressure that says, "Everything, now." You pause, grab a scrap of paper, and spill the mess. Not paragraphs, just pieces. A worry, a promise, a bill, a text, a half idea. Suddenly you notice they clump into a few simple buckets. You circle one tiny next step and move. Motion replaces static. You breathe, or think about a tense conversation you've replayed a dozen times. Instead of carrying it around, you write the first sentence you actually want to say, then the second. You see where you're clear, where you're emotional, where you're guessing. On paper, the echo chamber quiets down, and you can choose a tone that reflects who you are when you're calm, not who you are when you're cornered. Psychologically, naming what you feel and need creates a sense of safety. It lowers resistance and lets your brain cooperate with you instead of fighting you. Here's the twist. Writing isn't about being perfectly organized. It's about being honest with your mind. We expect our heads to store, sort, and solve in real time. That's like asking your workbench to build the table while you're still piling wood on it. Better approach. Offload the pieces so the builder can build. Not force, but design. Not more willpower, more clarity. Try this. Keep one capture tool within reach. A small notebook or a simple notes app. When your thoughts speed up, don't argue with them. Catch them. Use short lines, verbs first, As if you're calling plays. Email Sarah, cancel renewal, ask for Friday off, outline intro. When the list feels heavy, mark the one move that would make the rest easier or unnecessary. Then take that step. You're not chasing everything. You're choosing one thing with intention. And if you feel silly writing obvious stuff down, remember, the point isn't to prove you're smart. It's to free your working memory so your best thinking can show up when it matters. When you write, you transform the swirl into something you can see, respond to, and complete. Small habit, big payoff. It turns a standstill into a breakthrough. So when the day starts loud, don't go faster, go clearer. Put it on paper, give your brain a safe place to sort, and let the next step reveal itself. That's the write it down advantage. It makes chaos readable, and it gives you your focus back. You can spot a gate by the line in front of it. The self-taught don't stand there. They build a side door. Here's the quiet advantage. When you teach yourself, you stop asking for permission and start stacking progress. Not because you're rebellious, but because you're practical. You move while others wait. Think about how most of us were trained. Before you try something, you look for a course, a credential, a sign-off. You tell yourself, once I'm approved, I'll start. But approval is a moving target, and waiting is a habit that feeds itself. Now flip it. You decide the smallest version you can try today. Not the perfect version, the starter version. You grab a free tutorial, a messy template, a tiny practice problem, and you ship a rough first attempt. Suddenly you've got momentum, and momentum beats permission. Picture two people at work. One says, "Can I get time and budget to learn this tool?" The other opens a tab, tinkers for 20 minutes and builds a scrappy prototype. Guess who gets trusted with the next project? It's not about being the smartest, it's about being in motion. There's a reason this works. Progress creates proof, and proof changes how people see you, including how you see yourself. Each small win builds self-belief, and that self-belief makes the next step feel lighter. It's a loop. Action breeds evidence. Evidence breeds confidence. Confidence breeds more action. And here's the twist most people miss. Self-taught doesn't mean solo. It means you choose your teachers. Books become mentors. Forums become classrooms. Feedback becomes a map. You're not waiting for a syllabus. You're curating one. You're not anti-expert. You're pro-initiative. What about mistakes? You'll make plenty. But mistakes made early and cheaply are tuition, not failure. The faster you cycle through them, the sooner you learn the shape of the skill you're chasing. Think of it like building a muscle. You don't read a manual about push-ups and wake up stronger. You push, you wobble, you adjust, and that's where the growth happens. So how do you start if you're feeling behind or stuck or intimidated? Pick one tiny slice. One chapter, one feature, one email draft. Give yourself a short window and a clear finish line. Ask a real person for simple feedback. What's one thing I did well? And one thing I should try next? Then, and this is the part that unlocks everything, do the next rep while the lesson is still warm. It's not talent hoarded in secret rooms that moves you forward. It's the habit of choosing yourself again and again. You don't need a throne to make a decision. You need a first step. The line at the gate will always be long. Build your side door anyway. And when someone asks where you learned all this, smile and tell them the truth. You started? Here's a strange truth. The sharpest eyes often belong to the quietest person in the room. Arrogance stares at its own reflection. Humility looks out the window. When you stay humble, You spot the detail everyone else breezes past, the tiny hinge the big door swings on. You hear the hesitation in someone's voice. You notice the missing line in the spreadsheet. You catch the pattern, not just the noise. And here's the twist. Humility isn't small. It's precise. It's the choice to trade the urge to look important for the chance to learn what's important. That trade pays again and again. What does humility actually look like? It sounds like, I might be wrong. Tell me what I'm missing. That simple line disarms defences and pulls out buried facts. It turns a meeting from a performance into a collaboration. It looks like genuine curiosity. Not the kind that waits to speak, but the kind that listens, takes notes, and asks one more question, then one more. Curiosity is the flashlight arrogance never carries. It feels like space. Space to change your mind. Space to try a smaller bet before a big leap. Space to admit a mistake fast, so it stays small. Think about the last time you were sure. Did that certainty close a door you should have opened? When you're humble, doors stay open a little longer. People talk more. Clues line up. Timing gets better. Here's a practical move. Swap the urge to prove for the urge to improve. When you catch yourself defending your idea, pause. Ask, what would make this stronger? You'll draw insights from quiet voices in the room. The voices arrogance drowns out. Another move, carry a pocket phrase. Teach me. Say it to a new hire, a client, a friend. You'll learn in 5 minutes what pride would force you to learn the hard way, over months. And one more, protect your feedback loop. Seek the person who won't flatter you. Invite the tough notes. Humility welcomes the painful truth because it knows pain is a teacher, not an enemy. You might wonder, isn't humility weak? No. Humility is armor against blind spots. It's a force multiplier for skills you already have. It's the quiet advantage that outlasts loud confidence and outperforms brittle certainty. Where could one honest "I don't know" unlock a better answer? Where could a slower, humbler look save you from a fast, expensive mistake? If you want an edge, most people hide. Let others chase the spotlight while you chase the signal. Keep your questions open, your ears wide, your ego light. Smile when you're wrong because you just found the shortcut you needed. Stay grounded, stay curious, see what arrogance can't. That's the humility advantage, the kind of power that doesn't need to shout because the results do the talking. Ever notice how your inner GPS keeps rerouting the moment you see someone else's lane? You're cruising, you've got a plan, then a quick scroll, and suddenly you're second-guessing everything. That tiny glance sideways steals more momentum than a big mistake ever will. Comparison is a noisy room. Your ideas whisper. Their results shout. And when you listen to the loudest voice, you stop hearing your own. That's the trap. Here's the advantage almost no one talks about. When you compare less, your direction stays intact. Direction is what compounds. It's what turns ordinary effort into uncommon results. Not more talent, not more hacks, just fewer detours. Think about how often you zigzag. A trend pops up. An algorithm crowns a new hero. A friend hits a goal you haven't touched yet, and your focus fractures. You tweak your plan again. You chase a tactic that doesn't fit your strengths. You take feedback from people who aren't even playing your game. Every tiny pivot feels small, but they add up like pebbles in your shoes. What happens when you stop measuring yourself against their highlight reel? You buy back quiet. In that quiet, decisions get simpler. You pick one metric that matters to you and ignore the rest. You move with steadier rhythm. You repeat what works instead of constantly replacing it. That steadiness is a force multiplier. It's not flashy, but it's how you actually get far. Ask yourself, who do you admire more? The person who explodes for a week, or the one who shows up like clockwork for years? And here's a funny thing. The less you compare, the more you notice what you really want. Not the costume version, the real thing. Maybe it's depth over reach. Maybe it's craftsmanship over speed. Maybe it's fewer, better clients. When you own that, you stop hoarding strategies that aren't yours. Your work gets cleaner, your energy lasts longer, your confidence isn't borrowed, it's built. So how do you protect this advantage? Start small. Mute the accounts that spike your insecurity, even if you like them. Put your goals somewhere you can see them, your mirror, your lock screen, and check them more often than you check anyone else's progress. When the itch to compare hits, compare to yesterday. Did you move one step? Good. Stack another. And when you slip, and you will, reset without drama. No big speeches, just back to your path. You don't need to win every race. You need to keep your lane. When the world gets loud, choose quiet. When the urge to peek over the fence flares up, choose focus. When fear whispers that you're behind, choose evidence, your reps, your practice, your progress. That's the hidden edge. Fewer glances, fewer detours, more direction. Keep your eyes forward and watch how fast everything else starts to follow. Here's a weird truth nobody brags about. The most powerful advantage is boring. Repetition. The quiet edge, the thing that keeps moving when motivation taps out. Motivation is a spark. It flares, it looks dramatic, then it fades. Repetition is the engine. It turns no matter what the weather's doing. That's why the people who seem naturally gifted don't look for hype. They build reps. Silent, steady, almost invisible to everyone else. What does repetition really do? It shrinks the hard parts. It takes something that feels awkward and turns it into muscle memory. Like tying your shoes. You don't hype yourself up for it. You just do it because you've done it 1,000 times. That's mastery, not fireworks. Familiarity. So here's the move. Pick the smallest loop that actually matters. 1 page, read out loud. 1 paragraph written. 1 drill, 10 times. A 2-minute scale on the piano. A single line of code cleaned up, not just written. That tiny loop is your doorway. Step through it, again and again, and watch how the door gets wider. But won't I get bored? Yes. That's the point. Bored means the task is settling into your nervous system. Bored means you're about to cross from effort into ease. People chase novelty because it feels exciting. Then they quit right before the skill clicks. Repetition is the bridge that carries you over that gap. Walk it. Here's the twist. Repetition isn't mindless. It's mindful. You run the same loop, but you watch one detail each time. Posture, breathing, timing, speed, cleanliness. You choose a lens and sharpen it. The loop stays small. The attention gets precise. That's how performance jumps without you trying harder. Set a cue so it happens on autopilot. Same time, same place, same tiny win. Make it frictionless. Tools ready, workspace clear, no decisions left to make. When willpower is low, cues and layout do the heavy lifting. And when life gets messy, your loop is so small you can still land it. That's how consistency survives the chaos. What if you miss a day? No guilt spiral. Reset the cue and take 1 rep. 1. You're not rebuilding your life, you're reigniting a groove. The brain loves patterns more than promises. Listen, the advantage people hide isn't talent, it's tolerance. Tolerance for doing the simple thing again when nobody's watching. Tolerance for unsexy progress. Tolerance for being the person who keeps showing up. Want a mantra you can use when the spark is gone? Same loop, cleaner. Say it, breathe, do the rep. Same loop, cleaner. By the time others burn out hunting motivation, you'll be cruising on tracks you laid quietly day after day. That's the repetition advantage. It's not loud, it's not glamorous, but it compounds, and compounding feels like magic after it looks like monotony. Start today. Keep it tiny. Keep it steady. Let repetition carry you when motivation won't. The loudest wins are built in rooms where nobody claps. That's the trick almost everyone misses. You see the leap, not the ladder. You hear the applause, not the hours that made it possible. And from the outside, it looks like luck. Here's the advantage people don't brag about because it doesn't photograph well. Unseen work. Tiny, boring, repeatable. The kind you stack day after day until it changes your reflexes, your confidence, your options. Picture this. A co-worker gets promoted and it feels sudden. But talk to them. They've been doing 10 quiet minutes before the day starts, reviewing one leadership concept, practicing one tough conversation line, sending one thoughtful note to a mentor. No grand announcement, no big show, just a small deposit, then another, then another. Months later, an opening appears and they slide into it like the role was made for them. People murmur, "Must be nice." It wasn't nice, it was invisible. Or think about that friend who somehow always has the right answer in meetings. What you don't see is the notebook full of half-baked sketches and rough drafts they made when the stakes were low. They rehearsed being wrong in private so they could be useful in public. Psychologically, small, consistent acts shape identity and motivation. Our brains like repeatable wins and the reward loops that build momentum. The reframe is simple, but it's powerful. It's not intensity, it's consistency. It's not the splash, it's the drip that carves the stone. Most people chase the spike, the viral moment, the big break, then burn out. The advantage is quietly designing a process you can keep showing up for, especially when no one's watching. That shift from chasing events to building systems turns a standstill into a breakthrough over time. So how do you build this without making it a grind? Make it small enough to win on your worst day. A single page, one problem, 10 push-ups on the carpet beside your bed. Keep a simple tally where you can see it. A streak turns effort into a game. And here's the twist. Schedule a tiny review. Ask, what worked today? What felt heavy? What's my next tiny step? Those questions keep the engine humming without drama. When you stack small choices, you build trust with yourself. That trust is the real edge. What if nobody notices? Good. That's the point. If it's quiet, it's sustainable. If it's sustainable, it compounds. And when it compounds, it shows up as timing, talent, and out-of-nowhere opportunities. People will call it luck. You'll know it wasn't luck. It was your system, boring, steady, yours. The work you did when the world was asleep. The reps no one logged. The notes no one read. That's the unseen work advantage. It compounds in silence until the day it finally makes noise. The applause loves a starting gun, but the finish line usually claps alone. There's a quiet edge that doesn't sparkle on day one. It's not genius. It's not a perfect plan. It's the stubborn habit of showing up after the excitement drops. After the doubt gets loud, after talent gets bored. That's the keep-going advantage. Think about two runners. One is gifted, smooth stride, fast from the jump. The other looks ordinary, maybe awkward, breath a little heavy. A month in, the gifted one misses a few days, then a few weeks. Life happens, motivation fades, The ordinary runner ties their shoes again and again, rain or shine. A year passes. Who's ahead? The one who kept lacing up. Because consistency turns small steps into long roads. We confuse dramatic beginnings with durable success. We celebrate the launch, the bold declaration, the shiny gear. But momentum isn't born in the spotlight. It's built in quiet rooms, on average days when no one's watching and the work is unremarkable. Boring even. And here's the twist. Boring is where leverage lives. Reps become rhythm. Rhythm becomes identity. You stop trying to be good and start being the person who shows up. Ever notice how the first burst feels easy? Then everything gets foggy and slow. That fog is where most people quit. That fog is where the advantage starts. If you keep going through the muddy middle, you collect compound interest on effort. Not the glamorous kind, the kind that shows up as smoother timing, cleaner decisions, fewer mistakes, better instincts. All of it earned by staying in the game long enough for the game to start teaching you. You don't need more motivation. You need fewer exit ramps. Shrink the goal until it's unfailably small. One paragraph, one push-up, one outreach, one call. Show up for that, then another, then tomorrow. Count the streak after you start, not before. Rest on schedule. Rest is part of the plan, but don't confuse rest with stop. Stop is a story that tells you you're done. Rest is a breath that says you're not. What about failure? Treat it like a rep. Missed shots are practice in disguise. Every attempt is a vote for your future self. Enough votes, and you become someone who doesn't negotiate with quits. That's identity-level grit. That's the everyday armor you can actually wear. You'll see people sprint past you with flair. Let them. Speed fades when it's powered by adrenaline. Pace, powered by commitment. Steady, simple, unsexy, outlasts almost everything. This isn't about being the best today. It's about still being here when the talented get tired. The finish line's still quiet, but when you cross it, step by step, day by day, you'll hear something louder than applause. You'll hear your own voice say, I keep going, that's the advantage. Tie your shoes, take the stairs, show up again.